Mr. Walton, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with you? Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system, and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be? What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void, and I am your host, Joe Roop. And we are live on the Fringe FM tonight. It is Wednesday, April the 8th on into the night. And special guest, JM Debord is back with us. It's dream time. It's time to talk about the symbolism of what's been going on inside of your consciousness, inside you. And this is the man to talk to about these subjects. So that's coming up here just shortly. I want to say, too, that we've been having a lot of fun over in the Fringe FM chat room. So you guys can join that chat room at any point in time by going to thefringe.fm/chat room. And I think it's time that we talk about some of this stuff. There's been a lot of, everybody knows what's going on. I mean, if you guys heard last night, you know, the show I had with Marty, there's some intense stuff happening with a lot of people. And it's time to really take a look at ourselves in it and just go through this change, right? Well, how do we do that? So we can do that by just not looking and taking in the outside world, because I promise you, if you do that, things are just going to get bad. You're just going to look at how bad everything is and all this stuff, and you're going to think bad, and you're just going to take that stuff in. But the important thing is why. That's what we need to figure out. Why are we doing this? Why do we have these types of reactions? And what are we going to do about it from here on out, right? And it's also a big time for changes in our life. A lot of people's stories are changing. We were doing tarot readings in the chat room last night, late into the night. So if you are quarantined and you're like, you know, bored, you can always go to thefringe.fm/chat room. Come hang out with us. I want to thank our sponsors for the show, too. Also, Metaphorical Archaeology. You can give Barbara a call at 214-995-3754 if you've had any trauma that you need help with, especially paranormal trauma, though. You'll get a session pro bono. Her EFT tapping sessions are really helping a lot of people, including myself. Also, AncientLifeOil.com. Biggest specials on the planet they're doing right now with their subscriptions, and they got big, huge percentages off. Sales are really good right now, all across the board to get this stuff. Also, getthetea.com. And if you want to stay into ufology, you know where to go. UFO Seekers, at UFO Seekers on Twitter, and youtube.com/UFO UFO seekers. So the thing is tonight we're going to do this, and we're going to talk about some deeper symbolisms, synchronicities, what's been going on with the planet with this COVID-19 and all this stuff. But we're going to not just focus on the outside world. We're going to focus on the internal world and our dream world, our consciousness specifically, because that's what we are here, explorers of consciousness. And JM's been on the show a few times, and every time it's been an amazing broadcast, I can say. So if you're listening for the first time, just so you know who JM is, JM Debord is a.k.a. RadOwl, and that's his name, and his forum is the author of 3 books about dreams, including the best-selling Dream Interpretation Dictionary, and he explains this complex subject simply and easily and empowers readers to discover their innate abilities, to know the meaning and significance of their dreams. And RadOwl is the creator of DreamSchool.net, where more than 2,000 students in 200 countries have taken his online courses in dream interpretations. Now, RadOwl is also a popular media guest, having appeared on more than 100 media programs. He's been on Coast to Coast. He's been on this show. Everybody praises the guy. George Noory does too. One heck of a dream interpreter, right? So we all know that, we all know that this is the man to talk to about dreams. And thanks for coming back on the broadcast, JM. It's good to have you.
Joe, it is my pleasure. And with everything going on in the world right now, and people's dream lives are responding, this is a great time for you and I to have a deep discussion about this subject and shed some light on it, and hopefully listeners your audience, something they can walk away with and use starting tonight. When they go to bed. So hopefully we will inspire them to really keep track of what's going on in their dreams and teach them a few tricks to interpret what's happening in that symbolic world that we walk into when we go to sleep.
Yeah, it is a strange place indeed. And I can tell you, not only have I been having some really weird and intense dreams, so have my friends. And we're talking like vivid, huge symbolism. And I don't know, as far as the reports go on people's conscious lives, what have you been hearing? Has it been kind of dark stuff or intense, or what's the theme now?
How about all of the above, brother? Go to anybody out there listening right now, and you have internet access, which I hope is all of you. Go to dreams.reddit, reddit.com, dreams.reddit.com. Look at what's at the top. It's a post that was a discussion that was put up a few days ago. Anyone else having weird dreams, nightmares since the lockdown? And there are 213 comments, and it has 473 upvotes, which is pretty big for our forum. Oftentimes posts will get anywhere from a handful to 20, 30, 40, 50 upvotes. This one has 473, and the discussion has been going through the roof. People are having a lot of intense dreams, and they run the gamut. I think one thing that's happening, Joe, is that we're getting more sleep. And the more that you sleep, the more that you dream. It goes hand in hand. About 25% of your sleep time is going to be spent in the REM stage, which is the sleep stage when you have the most vivid and intense dreams. You can dream in other stages of sleep. But here's the thing. The more continuous sleep that you have, the longer your REM stages are. So you have a lot of people who were getting, let's just say, 6 hours of sleep on average before this lockdown and isolation started. Now they're getting 8 or 9 hours of sleep. They're getting extra REM time. So their dream lives are really intense. Plus, we have more focus. There's less stimulation going on in our external lives. Mm-hmm. We can't go out and socialize right now. In some places, you can't even go out and see your friends. So everybody's at home, and wherever you go, there you are. In the sense of, it's easy to have this very busy external life that can keep you distracted from what's happening internally. But right now, that internal life is really coming forward for a lot of people, and it's getting maybe some more scrutiny and attention than it has previously. And this is what tends to happen, Joe, is that people will have this sort of backlog of dreaming and inner work. The dreaming life waits for you to have time to pay attention to it. If your external life is really busy, it sort of waits in the background. And as soon as it gets the opportunity, you get some downtime, you take a vacation, and suddenly your dream life just goes boom. And it goes hand in hand with what's going on in your inner life too. So weird dreams, nightmares, dreaming more intensely just in general, and then some dreams that are very specifically related to what's going on with, a virus going around, with people losing their jobs, with uncertainty, concern about family members. All of these things are getting into people's dreams. So before we go any further, I want to encourage everyone out there, if you are not keeping a dream journal already, this is going to be step number one. If I can dovetail on how you opened the show. If you want to spend more time getting to know yourself internally and understanding this experience of consciousness that you are having at this time and place, then keep a dream journal. It's going to help you to track what's happening in your inner life, because of course your dreams are reflecting what's going on in your life, in your external life, but more so, on average, for most people, dreams reflect what's going on in your internal life. So keep a dream journal. This is going to be your first step.
So as I have done what you said, I've taken your instruction and kept a dream journal. And, I can tell you that some of the dreams I've had, I've almost been afraid to share with people, to be honest with you, because they're just so intense, man. Like, if I don't know why, I got to believe that we're in some type of transition. Like, Dolores Cannon, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but predicted that this was the time that people were going to either level up in spirituality and consciousness, or on their path of spirituality and love and all this other stuff, or people were going to stay in their old like cycles. But either way, everyone ends up in the same place. But the people here with us, man, I mean, we're all trying to like level up. So all of us are feeling this stuff and being pulled to do certain things and having to think about a lot of stuff. But the dreams are just wild, man. I mean, we're talking snakes, or dreams about snakes, dreams about owls have been a big one to me, gardens, like big time symbolism, stuff like that,
Well, we could talk about some of that. Your dreams are stories told using the language of symbolism. These are simple facts, number one, or number two and number three, that I teach at Dream School. So, first of all, your dreams speak the language of symbolism. Most people do not know how to decode symbolism. So when they observe their dreams, they reflect back on it and like, there was a snake and it was trying to get in my back door and I saw it and tried to kill it, but it got underneath the rug. And next thing I know, it's in my food pantry and it's eating Cheetos and, like all these, it appears to be nonsensical, but when you understand that it's symbolism, then you can start to decode and realize that there is meaning in there, and that the dreams are paralleling what is going on in your life, especially in your inner life. So dreams are symbolic, and they're stories. They tell you these stories. In fact, you are telling yourself these stories through your dreams, because you create your dreams. They're not being beamed into your head from outer space. They're not coming from some external source, although I think some dreams can actually come from an external source. But let's just say that most dreams, conventional dreams, are actually coming from deep within your own mind. And they're telling you stories that are like parables. What does a parable do? It is a little story that teaches and illuminates. And that is what your dreams are doing. If you can decode the symbolism and understand the story, then you can see better what is going on deep in your inner world and get some of the advice and the perspective that your dreams can offer you. Because once you start to follow your dreams in a more literal way than just the old cliche, follow your dreams, well, no, there's actually really good advice there if you can understand that you take it as a literal thought, like track your dreams, see what they're telling you, see what you are telling yourself through your dreams, and then and then make your decisions in life, at least with that input. because your dreams are really much, they're like having a psychologist or a life coach, a best friend, a mentor, all, bundled up into one. And it's inside of you. And the answers you get through your dreams are your own. But yeah, it begins with decoding symbolism. Why don't we get into examples? You said you've been dreaming about a garden. What are you doing while you're in the garden?
Well, I'm dreaming about a garden. So I had this dream about a garden, and, there's a person there that has some very significance to me. And I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm telling you, man, it was like psychedelic. The colors, I don't think I've seen it that vivid before. And this one was like, it's one of those dreams that you'll remember for the rest of your life. And I was thinking, look at all these different plants and flowers. And I started worrying about like how I was going to take care of all this different stuff, because I don't know a thing about, plants and flowers and herbs and, everything. And I got this message that, as long as I just loved everything, that I was going to be able to take care of it. But I still had this like, thing in the back of my mind, like, okay, like I'm just supposed to trust it. You know what I mean? It was kind of weird, but at the same time, it was bright. And I think the biggest symbolism was the colors, and the brightness. Then again, like, I don't know that I understand the symbolism till later. I think that's the importance about journaling things, right? Because we may understand something later, then go back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I track my dreams too very closely, because I often, even after all these years of interpreting my dreams and helping people with their dreams and getting a good reputation for knowing what the heck I'm doing, most mornings I'll wake up with good dream memories and I'll write them all down, and I don't get it right away. I have to come back to it and reflect on it and ask myself, well, what is it that this dream is really trying to tell me? Even when I can decode the symbolism, the personal significance of the dream might not always come through. Now, your message that your dream gave you, or that you sent yourself through the dream, that just love these things and they will grow and flourish. I mean, God, what a positive, powerful message to get. Now, there's some deeper part of yourself that is maybe a little wiser and a little more knowledgeable, and it's giving you that advice. And I would say, it sounds like great advice to me. Well, I find I used to have a lot of dreams about gardens, and I've found that they tend to reflect the things that, like, it's kind of like the parable about the planting the seed. If you plant the seed and it falls on good soil and it gets water and sunshine, then it'll grow into something. And when Jesus talked about that parable, what he was saying is, you can hear the teachings that I give you, and some people will absorb it and they'll spend time reflecting on it, and they'll actually try to respond to it by becoming better people. And those are the seeds that end up growing. They turn into the plants and they grow and they flower. And so I find that in my dreams that gardens tend to represent the things that that grow in me over time, and that take, I have to care for them. I have to feed and nourish them in a sense. If I want to do something, if I want to become a better person, it doesn't just happen overnight. There's an inspiration that comes into me and that says, okay, well, this is like the seed that's been planted. Now, whether or not that inspiration actually becomes a part of my personality, whether I'm able to become a better person, is going to depend on my ability to be able to tend to what's going on inside of me. So What a great way for a dream to turn that idea into a metaphor, to visually represent it as something. That's a key insight about dreams, is that they are taking something that is intangible, such as a thought, an idea, a feeling, a perception, and then it is visually representing it for you. It's turning it into something that you can see, and not just the see. You can walk into it like you're an actor in a movie. Your dream creates this garden out of an idea. The idea is what? That you have an inner world and you are tending to the things that are inside of you. So that's an idea. But then the dream says, let me turn it into a garden. And it's not just any garden. It's one where you are the gardener and you get to go into that world. It's projecting it out of you, and then you get to walk into it and participate. It's such a powerful thing. And it surprises me, Joe, that more people don't pay better attention to what's going on in their dreams.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that really like has been on my mind about this too is when we have dreams about particular people. You know, you remember the weird dreams I told you about last time with the awkward dude I couldn't get to get away from me, but sometimes we have dreams. Yeah, right. Yeah, that was like the first one we did, and you missed. Yeah, so that was me telling me something in that kind of way. I got it, you know, and then but when we have a dream about like let's say a person, right, and that keeps happening. I don't understand that, and I don't think I've ever talked to you about that. I mean, do you have dreams about people that just keep showing up, or what? Does that happen to you too?
I mean, I have regular characters that show up in my dreams.
Yeah.
I have what seems like random people from my past who will show up. You know, it could be someone I'm almost 50, dude. And it could be somebody I went to like grade school with.
Right.
Haven't thought of them in decades, and suddenly they're in my dreams. But yeah, I do get regular characters that show up. And the first insight with dream characters that I teach at dream school is that your dream characters, you think of them like actors, because your dream is a story. And the dream character, what does every story have? They have characters, right?
Right.
So if it's a story, then if a character in a story is an actor, they have a script that they're following that's been written subconsciously so that they can be part of the story and you can interact with them. Dream characters are such a fascinating subject because some of them are just sort of in the background. They're there to represent things like ideas. Some of them are kind of like, you could think of them as almost like movie extras. They're just there to populate the scene. They don't really have any intelligence to them. They don't have a role to play. But when characters have roles to play and they seem to be able to act intelligently and on the fly, that's when it gets really interesting. Because what are you seeing? If a dream is your inner world being projected out like a movie for you to walk into and be an actor in this movie, this drama you created for yourself, then what is a dream character? A dream character is likely to be some aspect of yourself, of your personality, of your psyche that is being projected into that dreamscape.
Yeah.
What else do you want to know about dreams?
Well, I've had dreams about people that when I see their face, I don't know who these people are. You know, the golf course dream that I always go to this golf course where there's these old men that I know who they are, but I've never seen them before in my life, you know. But I just know them. But then what I mean is like maybe when you have dreams about somebody that matters to you or something, you know, and it just keeps happening. And then that person represents, are you saying so that person may represent a part in yourself that you're trying to get to know? And maybe that person's playing that character or something?
Yeah, or that they represent the relationship that you're having with them, the feelings and thoughts that you have about them. It really kind of, you know, there's a spectrum of possibilities. But the thing that I think is most important to begin with when you analyze a dream character and try to figure out what they represent to you is that if they look like someone that you know, you have to be very careful not to assume that the dream is about that person. What really is happening is the dream is about what's going on inside of you. Example real quick. There's a guy that was having this dream that he was cheating on his girlfriend with this girl at work. And he was really distressed by it. And he came to Reddit asking for help with the dream. And I asked him, I was like, well, is there anything going on between you and her? You know, that would be the first thing to consider. It's like, maybe he really is thinking about, you know, getting into the sheets with her or something. He's like, no, not at all. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, have you cheated on your girlfriend? Are these thoughts going through your head? No, they're not. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, well, is there anything about that girl and your girlfriend that you can put two and two together? And he said, yeah, my girlfriend's really jealous and she told me not to talk to her. He's like, but I feel weird when I'm at work. We work in a close environment with each other and I can't just sit there and give the girl the silent treatment. He's like, I talk with her. And I'm like, okay, so cheating in the dream is really an expression of you feeling kind of guilty and nervous. You know, because if your girlfriend finds out that you're talking to the pretty girl at work that she told you not to talk to, there could be hell to pay for you, right? And that ended up being what was really behind the dream. So when he dreams about the girl at work, he's not really dreaming about her per se. He's really dreaming about all of these conflicted thoughts and feelings he has inside of himself because of what his girlfriend has told him, to not talk to this girl. So you have to be careful with dream characters when they look like people because usually it's not. One of the, at dreams123.net, one of the popular posts, if you look on the right sidebar, I have the 10 most popular posts at my website. And one of them that keeps popping up is dreams about your mom being murdered. You want to talk about a kind of dream that's going to get people stirred up. Oh my God, I had a dream that my mom died or she was murdered or something like that. And what does your mind naturally go to? Is my mom in danger? Do I need to warn her? But no. Usually it's your mom in the dream is a symbol for an idea. And her being murdered is maybe more of an expression of fear of separation from her, or a sense that your relationship with her is going through a change, or damn, you just miss her. Sometimes it's as simple as that, so that's the thing that you need to be careful of. But I think, Joe, that you might be experiencing something that goes even deeper than just these conventional ways of explaining dream characters. And this is something that I learned from Bob Monroe. And I noticed your new intro there where you use Bob's, the affirmation that he gives so that you state your intention before you go into Focus 10. He tells you, make your affirmation that you are more than your physical body and that you want to understand yourself as this creature of energy and consciousness. And that is sometimes really what your dreams are doing for you, is you are able to connect into a collective consciousness, a collective dream world that we all share with each other. I used to not believe that this was true until I experienced it for myself. And I realized some of those people I see in my dreams, well, guess what, Joe? They're people who are also dreaming, and we are participating in our dreams with each other.
See, I knew it. I've been trying to put this together, man, trying to put it together,
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that talk to me. It's like, no, you're separate. You're not, it's not connecting. And I'm like, if it's not connecting, then why is it so profoundly connecting? Why does the other person that I talk to, and this happens to a lot of people, saying the same things, their energies are connecting there for sure.
Yeah. And that's where these are the advanced subjects that I use for my advanced students. I tend to not even go there, but you and I have had enough discussions about this that and I know that your audience really enjoys these kinds of subjects. So I was like, okay, I'll go there with Joe tonight, because I normally wouldn't, because it only confuses people. You really need a lot of experience with your dreams and understanding what the characters are and ruling out other possibilities. When you have the dream about being on the golf course and seeing, all these people there that feels very familiar to you, and the energy of them feels very familiar to you. Here's a possibility for you, Joe, is that they are in a future life, that you will be together with those people in what we call the future, although all of time is happening simultaneously. So past, present, and future, these are just terms that we give to something so that we can wrap our minds around it in a linear sort of way, because that's how we understand the world. But when you look at what time really is, and this is agreed upon by people like Einstein and other physicists who have, defined what time actually is, past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. So when you are on that golf course with those people, what you could be seeing are people that you are going to connect with in what we will just call, for easy reference, a future life. And that's why they're so familiar to you. Or there could be a past life or something, but the point is, and it could be even something going on right now, that these are people that you've connected with in some kind of way energetically. And you don't even have to have ever met them. But when you go into your dreams, you're actually encountering them. Can I give you a quick example that'll probably blow the minds of your audience? It's a guy shared this dream. Okay, so when I got interested in this subject, it was after my first book about dream interpretation came out in 2013. It's called Dreams 1, 2, 3. And so people started coming to me sharing all kinds of stories that they're, about their dream lives. And I wrote a conventional book about remembering dreams, interpreting them, and then doing something with the information. It was a very conventional book. People wanted to talk to me about, for example, the guy who had a dream where he meets this girl and they have a great time with each other. And she, the dream goes on. And by the end of the dream, he's found out her first and last name and some very personal details about things that happened with her recently. So dream ends, he wakes up, he's like, wow, man, that felt like more than just an ordinary dream, but hell if I know what it really is all about. So a couple weeks later, he's in a grocery store, walking down the aisle, picking up his beans or whatever, and looks up and he makes eye contact with this girl walking by the other way in the aisle, and it's the girl from his dream. All right, so how do you test it? The dream gave him information. It gave him her first and last name. So he says that he said her first name out loud like a question. Like let's say her name is Jennifer. So he's like, Jennifer? And she kind of looks at him and she goes, yeah, do we know each other? And then he says her last name, Jennifer Jones. She's like, yeah, we must know each other. How does this happen? He's like, oh, and he finds some way of blowing it off because his mind was really blown in this moment because he realized he saw her, he recognized her appearance, and then, which could be a coincidence. I mean, you could dream about some, person and then encounter someone a week or two later and they look just like or very closely to the person that you saw in the dream, but they're not one and the same, right? But the dream gave him the information, the first and the last name. So from there, they kind of struck, he kind of, oh, we must have met somewhere. How you doing? He makes the conversation move on. So now over the course of the next, couple of weeks, they get together for like coffee, talk. He's like, God, we hit it off so well. It was like we knew each other all of our lives. So he said that he was holding back from her, though, about telling her about the dream because he's like, yeah, sure. We met in a dream. No, he's been stalking her, that was
yeah, right. You don't want to say that stuff.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But he said the cure for him was in the dream. She told him that he had been hospitalized and she got injured and she'd been hospitalized. And fairly recently, she got into the hospital and gotten back on her feet again. He tells her, so they're.
Now, hold on a second. You're breaking up a little bit, but did you say that she had been hospitalized? Is that what you said?
And that's a little deeper. So he tells her, hey,
I'll tell you what. Hold on. Let me do this, JM, because we're that connection's getting a little bit choppy, and then I skip my break anyways. I want to hear about this though. And then we'll get into some of this other stuff that you wanted to talk about tonight. Look, we're here with JM Debord. If you got a question about your dreams, you can call into 1-800-588-0335. Just have your question ready and just make it quick. And also, you can go join the chat room. We'll be right back. thefringe.fm/chat room. Stay with us.
From Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes visualizes those emotions, the circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
All right, man. This is Crow 777, and you are listening to The Fringe FM.
Right, me old Chiners. I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me babble. If, like me, you found your way to Light in the Void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality, to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of The Fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste-great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
From a cave in the depths of your mind, it's Light in the Void with Joe Root.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
JM Debord, our guest tonight, dream expert. You can also go to his website, dreams123.net. You've also got, you got 3 websites, don't you, JM?
Yeah, I sure do. One of them's down. jmdebord.com is down, but dreams123.net and dreams123.com. The .net has, both of these sites are full of information. So if you want to know how to interpret your dreams, if you have specific dream symbols that you want to look up, I did this experiment, Joe. Take my moniker, my online nickname, RadOwl, RADOWL, and then put in like RadOwl dreams and the symbol that you want to understand, like zombies or pregnancy or something like that. And it will automatically, if I've written about it and it's out there somewhere, then the search engine will pick it up and give it to you as one of the top results. It's kind of cool, man. As I put out so much out there, and there are so many different dream symbols that people dream about. And I can't be there all the time to be like, oh yeah, I wrote about that on my website and it's right here. You can go look it up. Just use RadOwl and whatever the dream symbol is and put dreams in there somewhere and it'll pop up if I've written about it.
Fantastic. That's really cool. So I want to finish this story where this guy, he meets this girl. He knows her first and last name. He tells her first and last name. But before it broke up, you said he was afraid to possibly tell her that he dreamed about her because he didn't want to creep her out. And then it kind of broke up after that.
Yeah, he didn't want to creep her out. So he held back. But finally, one day after, they'd been talking for a couple weeks and he felt like he could tell her this. He says, look, I dream. I saw you and it told me your name. And it also told me that you'd been through an accident and you'd been hospitalized. And he said that she showed him the scars from the accident that she'd had. And she'd been recently hospitalized for like a while. And that she was just recently out of the hospital and getting back on her feet. So the dream not only gave what she looked like, her first and last name, but also the details, the accident that she'd been through in the hospitalization. So personal details about something that had happened in her life that was not apparent from just looking at her. He said that the scars that she had were underneath her clothes. And she looks at him and she goes, "You crazy freaking stalker." No, I'm just kidding. She goes, "That's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing. I have a really crazy vivid dream life too." So I followed up with the guy over time, and he said that nothing romantic, because this is where people are going to go, oh, there must be twin flames or soulmates or something like that, right? He said that they just ended up becoming good friends, and that to that point, nothing had happened between them. And I followed up with them over the course of a couple of months. So maybe they're like married with children now. I don't know. But back then, at least, as things developed, he said that there wasn't anything romantic. It was just more of a, kind of a very close friendship. And as I write about, and if you put RadOwl soulmate dreams, you'll see one of my very popular posts that I've written about. Soulmates are more than just romantic.
Yeah, they don't always have to be romantic partners. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Other types of relationships. Yeah. So, but we'll keep it, focused on dreams for right now. Joe, this is not this is one of many times when I've encountered people who have had a similar experience where they meet someone in a dream that they've never met before, but it turns out that they are a person who's alive in this world, and they meet first in the dream, and then sometimes later they will meet in person. And I make that distinction because there are times that you could dream about people and they seem really familiar, but you never actually cross paths with them in the waking world, but you could cross paths with them almost nightly in your dreams. Bob Monroe is, you know who he is. Bob says that they experimented with the different states of consciousness while asleep. And they were hooked up people to EEGs, and they did a lot of scientific study of this. And he said, because Bob he got to the point where he could leave his body and he could do it on a regular basis. He got really good at astral projecting or dream walking or whatever you want to call it. And he said that when he would leave his body during sleep, that it would happen while he was in the delta stage of sleep, which is the deepest non-REM stage of sleep. It's basically, I call it dead sleep, because most people have absolutely no memory of the delta sleep that happens, because it's delta means long, slow brainwave pattern. And it kind of meanders. When you look at the readout for it, the printout, you'll see that the line goes from being this steady up and down pattern to being this long, slow meandering pattern. And Bob said that he would leave his body automatically. He didn't have to try to do it, but he, because of his experience with it, could remember it, and they could correlate it with the data they were getting from the EEGs. And he did it with other people too. And his conclusion was that we are all leaving our bodies. At least our consciousness is separating at least somewhat from our bodies during these delta stages of sleep. So it's happening nightly. Robert Moss says the same thing. He's a very famous teacher of dream interpretation and dream work. They call him kind of a dream shaman. And he says that dreaming is a social activity, that we're all connected, at least for some dreams, during some stages of sleep, that we are connected at a spiritual or energetic level, and that we are participating together in the dream world. Pretty cool, huh?
It is pretty cool. And I believe that. I totally believe that. You know what's cool to me is when you have things happen in like synchros in the dream world and in the physical realm. Like when you actually start following this stuff, right? Like the guy did when he said the girl's name. To me, I think we should do that more. Like we should test these things and then just keep. I don't think they call out to us for no reason, you know. I think it's done on purpose so we make those type of connections. But I often wonder, like, about, don't get me wrong, I wonder about symbolism too. Like, even especially when you see specific symbols, like, you know, what if you see triangles all the time? Because I got a friend who talks about that. And like, they see triangles in their dreams all the time, you know. Well, I can't tell you what that means. Upright triangles, an isosceles triangle maybe, but they see it a lot.
You know, Carl Jung was someone who talked a lot about the shapes that you can see in dreams and what they could mean. And so when I give ideas about this, they are only based on my experience and some study of people who, like Carl Jung, who has given a lot of information about shapes that you'll see in dreams, specifically triangles. Now, it's a three-sided thing. So, you know, I would start off with ideas that are metaphorical, like, is there three sides to the story? Or is there a three-way happening here in the sense of, like, you know, a relationship triangle, and not necessarily romantic or sexual, but I use three-way to kind of get the idea across here. But he also said that shapes can mirror the structures that we have in our own psyches. And we have the foundational structures of our psyches are called archetypes. And they are very, very deep in the psyche. Most people are completely unaware that they're there, but the archetypes they form the very basis of who you are and your personality. They're the building blocks. They're the foundation. And the way of conceiving an archetype, if you want to diagram it, is as a triangle, because an archetype has it's called positive and negative polarity. And you have to think of it in terms of energy or electrons, you know, there's and protons. They have these positive charges. Some of them have negative charges. Well, in an archetype, the positive and negative charge comes together into one. And Jung said that most people get caught between what he called the conflict of opposites, the opposite poles between positive and negative. But then as you develop, you can transcend the opposites, and those are shown as that transcendence is shown as the peak of the pyramid or the top of the triangle. So I used to have a lot of dreams about especially when I was first studying archetypes, I would have a lot of dreams that featured triangles or pyramids. And what I found is that if I can identify some of those ideas that can go into what the shape is, and then I can analyze the dream with those ideas in mind, sometimes it gives me the insight into the dream that I need. I used to have a lot of dreams about circles, and I still do. And I found, and this is what Jung says, is that the circle can be a symbol of the complete psyche. So I would have these dreams, like I was doing a lot of deep inner work, and I would have these dreams about going to a store and getting a pepperoni pizza, you know, and so it was like, well, what is a pizza? I could get lost in the symbolism of a pizza, but what was most important about the symbol is that it's round. It's a circle. In fact, the pepperoni creates a circle within a circle because the pepperoni's on the pizza. And what I found with that insight in mind is that the dreams were actually about me choosing wholeness, choosing to become a more complete person, because I'm going to the store and I'm choosing a pepperoni pizza. So I know it sounds kind of, like, wow, that's a lot to read into just a dream about buying a pizza, but it was like, no, buying means you're making a choice. You're investing your resources, and I'm making a choice to have this pizza with a circle within a circle, which is a very deep symbol going back many centuries of signifying the process of having this inner world that develops inside of you and becoming a whole and complete person. So tell your friend who dreams about the triangles, tell him to look up archetypes. There might be some insights that he can gain from that, specifically from a guy named Robert Moore. Dr. Robert Moore had a lot of great things to say about it, and he wrote a book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And the first 3 chapters of that book is the best summary of what archetypes are and how you can identify them in yourself that I have ever found.
That's a good, thank you for that. So that's some good insight there, man, because some symbolism is so and powerful, like I have back to the snake thing. I've had that happen a few times. Now I've seen, and this is where it gets tricky when you talk about Carl Jung. I've seen snakes in life, right? Everybody sees snakes, but there are particular times like in life when I see them where something like resonates there. It'll ring in me like, hey, you need to pay attention to that. A snake in the grass. Yeah. What does that mean? That kind of thing. And, then I have to ask myself, like, is that my intuition or is that my ego and paranoia worrying about that? Well, the difference, right? When you just see a snake or when you see one in the grass, you start to kind of learn this stuff after a while, and then you see it in the dream too. But I'm just having a lot of crazy dreams here lately, and I think a lot of people are. Is there any like parallels that's been happening since this COVID-19 stuff though that you're seeing a lot with people reporting to you about their dreams?
Yeah, I sure am. I had somebody at Reddit who was describing being in a transported into a desert environment, and there's like this lone dead tree, and there is a dark man, like dressed in black, who is behind the dead tree, and he comes out and comes at the person. And there are different ways you can interpret that kind of imagery, but the way that we interpreted it, and I'm going by what this person said. I don't interpret other people's dreams as much as I try to give them the information for them to interpret their own dreams. And this is what the person said, is that the man who comes out behind the tree is the virus, because it can kind of come out from nowhere and the tree is dead. And, that was the association between the virus and death. So, and then I was like, well, that makes sense, because in the way you're interpreting it, if we also put it within the context of you're out in a desert is a lonely place. And this person was in isolation at the time, as many of us are, but for some people in particular, especially people who live alone, things are they feel very isolated right now. And what better way of representing that idea than showing you out in the middle of a desert and being alone? So I've had those, that was very, symbolic dream. We've had other people who were dreaming about things very specifically related to ideas such as being afraid of catching a contagion. They often dream about bugs, like bugs trying to get into their home, which a bug and a virus is kind of a similar idea. So that's how the dream creates the symbolism of the virus, is to turn it into a bug. Worms. Dreams that have been related to being alone, the isolation, the sort of the mental and psychological and emotional impact that this is having on people. So we've seen a lot of those. And like I said earlier, if you want to check it out, I've got 2 places for you. One is dreams123.net. The top story, I just wrote a story about this. It's about the people who are dreaming about this, the coronavirus and isolation and stuff. It's the top story at dreams123.net right now. And then I have that pinned post at the top of dreams.reddit.com that's people having a discussion about the dreams they've been having that are related to this thing. So it's fascinating. People are responding to what's happening in the world. I saw that. Remember when the Russians invaded Crimea and annexed that part of, people started having these dreams about the Russians invading the United States. And I thought it was a fascinating response because it was, it was all over the news for a week or two. And while it was all over the news, you could see the response in people's dream lives where they were taking it and personalizing it. But in a way, you could say that their world was being invaded by the Russians. That's what their dreams were saying. But what was happening in their waking lives is the news of what's going on with the Russians was invading their lives. Yeah. And so the dreams took it and turned it into a story about the Russians invading the United States or whatever country that the people lived in. Pretty fascinating, huh?
Yeah, it is. That is pretty fascinating. I think what I'm trying to figure out, though, too, is how to try to remember or recall my dreams more, because they tend to fade as soon as we wake up. And so it's real funny that there's a few things that I've learned how to do that. And I got to tell you, JM, that I don't know if this corresponds with what you're talking about with the energy and stuff, but there's these energetic practices that I've learned to do, that I've been taught to do anyways. And the more I do them, and it's really strange, the more I remember my dreams. Now, how can I do weird energetic exercises that have nothing to do with so-called like what I'm projecting in my mind, and yet for some reason the effect of that is that I can remember my dreams better? So there has to be an energetic thing there,
Well, and I think it has most what it has to do with, and this is just based on my experience, is that it's because you're putting a focus on your inner world. Again, we're going back to right now. What are people doing? They have more time, more focus on their inner world because their external lives are not it's not preoccupying them as much. And so now they suddenly find that their inner world, there has a lot more going on in it. It was always there. It's just that now their focus is on it. So you're doing that, but you don't need to have, suddenly to be unemployed or isolated or quarantined or something like that, because you're doing it because you want to explore yourself as a conscious being. So you are putting this focus on your inner world. And so you're able to remember your dreams better simply because you are giving more focus to the place where your dreams are coming from. It's very easy to go through life with giving very little attention to your inner world. There are some people who live entirely on the surface of life. They have no penetration to any deeper place. But as you said in the opening, when you opened up the show, when talking about Dolores Cannon, and there are others who've said that there would be a time when we would all be looking, we would have this opportunity to level up. Mm-hmm. And the way that you're going to be able to do that is by focusing on what's going on inside of you. All of the information that you need is already written and encoded inside of you. You just need to pay attention to it. Now, you talk about dream recall. Your dreams can really help you with this process. And what you're doing with the energy work and that focus on your inner life, maybe doing a little meditating and breathing exercises, that's great. Here's the other thing. Before you go to bed, remind yourself, I'm about to go to sleep. I'm going to dream. I really want to remember my dreams. Say it to yourself a few times as you get ready for bed or as you're kind of drifting off to sleep. Have a notebook and pen nearby or a voice recorder, but I don't like to use technology when I first wake up. I like to just grab my notebook and write things down. It's the first thing I think about. I don't think about anything else. Dream memories are stored in a special kind of short-term memory that is easily overwritten. So if you wake up and you start thinking about something other than your dreams, anything other than your dream memories, you are now overwriting the dreams, the dream memories. So you want to make sure that you just kind of stay still if you can. If you need to use the bathroom, get up, use the bathroom, come back, lay back down. This is important. Get back into your sleep position. If you woke up and you were laying on your side, get back and lay on your side, grab your notebook, go back into the dream memories. Get them while they're fresh.
studies have shown that in the first 5 minutes after you wake up, that about 50% of your dream memories are now inaccessible. And after 10 minutes, 90% of your dream memories are inaccessible. And it happens, I've seen many times in my own life, Joe. I can, even after all these years of practicing dream recall, if I don't give it that attention right away, what will happen is that I will start forgetting some of the details of the dream. I'll be able to remember kind of the rough outline of the story, but the longer I go without giving that attention, that single-minded focus to my dream memories, the more that some of the details get lost. But I also tell you this, the more that you practice it, it's like a muscle. The better you get, the stronger it gets. And you keep, doing this night after night where you're focusing on your dream life, waking up in the morning, writing down anything you can remember. Even if you don't remember any dream memories, grab your notebook and go ask yourself this question and write down the answer. Do I remember anything at all that seemed like I was dreaming? This can be I'll have people come and ask me like, dude, I have not remembered a dream in years. I don't think I dream at all. And I go, well, except in very rare cases of like brain disease or brain damage, you are dreaming. You're just not remembering. So do this. Ask yourself, did I dream at all? Because if you can go, well, I do remember something. I don't remember what it was, but it seemed like I was dreaming. Boom. Now you have the answer to your question of, am I dreaming or not? You are dreaming. So now it's a matter of remembering. And so you're kind of getting over the hump, because for a lot of people, they think that they don't dream at all because they haven't given any attention to their dreams in so long. They haven't practiced. If I go out and jump on a bike, yeah, sure. I started riding a bike when I was 6. But if I jump on a mountain bike and go screaming down a hill, I'm not ready for that. Yeah, right. And I use it as an analogy to say that, that you've got to kind of, you got to take this thing a step at a time. And there will come a point when, man, you can wake up. I had 3 dreams that I remembered from last night. I didn't remember the whole dreams, but I remembered enough that I could write down 3 separate dreams in my journal. But it had been a few days between that entry and the one that I last made in my journal. So it's a natural cycle for people to go up and down. But I guess what I'd like to leave on with that subject, or the way I'd like to end this, is just to say, give it practice, try it. It's so valuable for you to recall your dreams and write them down and track them over time. It's one of the best practices you can do for developing your inner life and understanding yourself better as a conscious being.
Yeah, and I think sometimes too, I think sometimes we deny what we're being shown a lot of times too, and I think it's just a reaction to old programs, right? Because your dreams tell you more about yourself than anybody. I really believe that, like anybody. And when you practice anything like let's just say old style Christian magic or whatever, one of the first things they tell you to do is keep a daily dream journal. But they also tell you this too, JM. They also say, make sure that you jot down where the sun and the moon are and what phase the moon's in when this happens. And you start to see energetic patterns there as well too. But these types of things, if you go out in the world and I tell people about it, they're like, yeah, well, you're just woo-woo kind of crazy. After a while, though, I can tell you, I've gotten to the point, man, where I just like, okay, that's fine. I'm just going to go do whatever I know is real, and just go along with it.
Yeah. Well, and I've encountered that too, and people want to keep their minds limited. And I think this is a natural reaction to the complexities of life. There needs to be something like, we've been brought up with this idea that there's always a cause and effect. If it's a real valid thing, that it can be measured, and there's a cause and there's an effect. You have to be able to apply the principles of the scientific method. And if it can't be explained that way, then it is not real. And a lot of people keep themselves very limited that way because there is enough crap with life for them to deal with already.
That's right.
And plus, they're following their programming. We have been programmed to think this way. And I know you had Paul Levy on your show, and Paul he talks about the mind virus that has gotten into us, which is this fundamental assumption of science since its inception, basically, is that there is a complete separation between the observer and what is being observed. And Paul says, well, guess what? In the quantum world, there's an interaction that is happening between the observer, who is the conscious being, the scientist, the person, and what is being observed. So there is never a way for you to say that you can have this complete separation and that the one is not affecting the other, because they are affecting each other. And Paul even says that our dream lives are a lot like the way that our consciousness interacts with the quantum world, because in the quantum is creating reality based on the feedback it's getting from you as a conscious being. And your thoughts and feelings and emotions and perceptions and everything that goes into it. The quantum world is absorbing this and it's feeding it back to you. In the same way that your dream life is taking your thoughts, feelings, memories, perceptions, emotions, and feeding them back to you and creating a reality for you based on that. So you go from one level of this sort of cause and effect to this relationship that you're having between you and your dream world. And then you wake up and you're in another extension of that dream world in the sense that you're in another world that is responding to you as a conscious being.
Right.
So we're learning now that this is the way that our waking world actually works. And it's not accepted very widely. And you'll get a lot of ridicule from people who are insistent that the old paradigm is correct. Because if it's not correct, and what we're experiencing, it really is, that deeper reality, then it means there's a lot more to this than what people are willing to accept. It also means that you have a lot more responsibility for yourself and your own thoughts and your actions and behaviors.
That's right.
Because it resonates much, much more deeply. A lot of people are more comfortable with the idea of them just being a biological meat puppet, that the universe is a big machine of cause and effect, and that when you die, that's it. You go to the, you go to the ashes, or you go to the ground and you worm food, and there's no, and so they can do whatever they want to in their lives. They don't have to try to live up to any better a vision of what they can be as a person. They don't have to try to live up to any better ideal. They don't have to worry about any of this stuff.
Well, I kind of think though, that's one of the reasons why we got to take this break here. But I kind of think that's one of the reasons why we might actually keep coming back here and go like, hey, I've done this before. Like, why do I keep doing this over and over again? I think it might have to do with the fact that we're not listening to that voice and that thing that's talking to us inside of us, which JM is talking about is really who we really are. And now we're being forced to. We'll be right back.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about that.
Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hey, this is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on the Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, but the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is V, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a
Void Walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner Void Walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I'll guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new Art Bell. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, a.k.a. the Night Stalker, and I'm a Void Walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a Void Walker. Thanks, Joru.
I'm Clyde Lewis. You are listening to The Fringe FM.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Have you ever seen an ad or banner which brought you a feeling that someone is reading your mind or even listening to your conversations? Your online data is being used against you. Surfshark is a VPN service that makes online privacy protection easy and attainable. You can use it on as many devices as you'd like simultaneously. Surfshark encrypts all internet traffic sent to and from your devices and ensures that your IP address remains hidden. The VPN service that we use at UFO Seekers plus 1 month free for $1.99 a month. Visit surfshark.deals/seekers.
We all have that story to tell in our lives. The winds were howling. The ground shook. You could hear rushing water. And then history repeats itself. When there's no power, refrigeration fails. Stores with their shelves strip bare. ATMs can't operate. Deliveries stop. Then what? These events can last days or weeks. You need a plan. In statements made during recent interviews, FEMA Administrator Brock Long has repeatedly urged all Americans to understand 3 truths. FEMA is broke. The system is broken. If this is the new normal, Americans can't rely on federal cavalry when disaster strikes. Don't get caught out in the elements empty-handed. Prepare with us by going to preparewiththefringe.com and get your 2-week food supply. 92 servings, 8 food varieties with 25-year shelf life. Normally $137, now only $75. Or get a month's supply, normally $247, now only $147, shipped in 1 business day. Just go to preparewiththefringe.com or call 888-440-7931. That's 888-440-7931. Get this great offer and be prepared while it lasts.
Hey, Fringe listeners, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange Radio, asking you to join us live Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Fringe FM. Visit BeyondTheStrange.com for links to chat, social media, and schedules of the show. And remember, always stay strange. Hasta.
Paranormal News. I'm Brad Bernards. When humans return to the moon to stay, where will they live? Well, it turns out they might live in lunar bases made of astronaut pee. According to Space.com, researchers have found that urea, the major organic compound found in human urine, could be useful for making concrete for lunar structures. Future astronauts living on the moon's surface will have to endure much more intense conditions. In this new study, researchers from Norway, Spain, the Netherlands, and Italy, in cooperation with the European Space Agency, conducted a number of experiments testing the use of urea from human urine as a plasticizer, a substance that can be added to materials like concrete to make it more flexible before it hardens. The team found that samples that used urea as a plasticizer were able to support heavy weight, remain stable, and keep their shape. The results are in, and no surprise, a lot of people want to be a NASA astronaut.
This is Vice President Mike Hansen calling. We are so inspired by your courage, by your character. You're going to be the pioneers that lead the way in human space exploration.
Without further ado, let's welcome the world's newest astronauts to the stage.
Space.com reports that more than 12,000 people have applied to join what NASA is calling the Artemis generation, a new class of astronauts to help the agency return humans to the moon and reach outward to Mars. Now comes the hard part, winnowing down the massive applicant pool to just a handful of candidates with the right stuff. Connect with the news at parabnormalradio.com. I'm Brad Bernards, Parabnormal News.
Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal, there's a show called Into the Paranormal. I'm Jeremy Scott. Hear me live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern on the Fringe FM.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada. You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. Don't forget, after this show, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable is coming on. The Fringe FM has a lot of fantastic shows you can hear 24/7. You can download the Fringe FM app, listen on your Alexa device, use TalkStream Live, the Paranormal Radio app, tune in, and more. We have all kinds of ways to listen to this fabulous station. Tonight, my guest is JM Debord from dreams123.net. And JM, I am under the impression that I think you might have actually visited where I live. I don't know, because I believe in the astral travel concept where there's these different realms of consciousness, because I've had my own experience with it. And you kind of told me before the show, like, too, that you saw me sleeping. And I'll let you tell the story. But to me, this kind of proves this realm is attached to our conscious realm, and we just don't know it.
And the details don't always have to line up exactly between what you experience in the dream and the way things are in the waking world. But I had this, after I was on your show, I had this dream that I came to your house and I had a feeling it was kind of way out there somewhere. And I came up to the front door, and the front door was open, but the screen was closed. And I look in the screen, but I have to like duck down to be able to see into to where you are. And you're laying on a couch and you're taking a nap. And I'm kind of debating, like, well, should I say something to you? Should I wake you up? And at that point, you kind of wake up and you're like, oh, hey, JM, how you doing? And you invite me into the house, and we went into the house, and I went into a room that was in a back part of the house, and my dad's dog was back there. Okay, so symbolism, right? But that dog passed away recently, and I didn't have a chance to say goodbye to her. She'd been my friend for years. So that I was there, and one of the things I really liked was that she looked really good in the dream. Like, she looked like she was being well taken care of, and I was kind of like, hey, Joe, thanks for taking care of her, because she's a cool dog. So maybe we had an experience of meeting up in the dream. I really wanted to contact you right afterwards to see if you'd had a similar experience or dream where you'd seen me. That's the kind of memory that could easily just kind of come and go. And if I mentioned something about it within a reasonable amount of time of you having a dream that maybe you forgot, but I say, hey, do you remember dreaming about me? It could be the thing that could trigger your memory. But I have had other experiences of this, being able to meet up with people in a dream. And I've actually done it intentionally with someone where we decided that we were going to meet up in a dream. This is a guy who's been teaching me lucid dreaming and techniques for working with energy and stuff like that. He's a shamanic practitioner, and he's a very normal guy in a sense. He's from Long Island. I think his degree, he has a master's in psychology, I think. So he's, in one sense, he's in the daytime world, he's just a professional, person. But in the other world, he's a shamanic practitioner, and he's very experienced in the dream world. And he's been teaching me things like techniques for lucid dreaming, which I've been able to have my first flying dreams, which were really cool. But in the dream, this is what happened. We decided that he's told me that this was possible. He's like, we can make a plan to meet up in our dreams tonight. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. So before I go to bed that night, I made this intention. I was like, I'm going to meet up with my friend Steve in the dream. And I thought about some things very specifically. And one of the things, because this is kind of a new world for me to go into, and I was setting a ground rule for myself, as I said, if I'm going to do this, it has to come from the heart. This isn't just an intellectual exercise. This has to be something that I really want to do. And the energy for this has to come from my heart, not just from my intellect or my mind. And then I also had I projected the color yellow into this scene because I wanted it to be a way for me to have a dream sign for me to be able to remember what was going on. And yellow is also a color that is, it has a lot of willpower in it. It's the color of the third chakra. So this is before I'm going to bed. I think about these things and I put a lot of very strong intention into it.
Yeah.
So next morning, I wake up. I'm all excited. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to remember my dreams about my friend Steve. Nothing. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't dream about him. I'm like, well, maybe this isn't, maybe I'm not ready, or maybe this is just wishful thinking or whatever. So he gets in touch with me. And he says, yeah, I had a couple of dreams with you in it. And he's like, it was really wild. He's like, you kept telling me that if you're going to do this kind of work, that it has to come from the heart. He's like, you just kept saying that over and over again. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that was what I was thinking about before I went to bed, right? And then he said the other thing that was really wild about the dream, and he's like, everything was yellow. He's like, the walls were yellow, the sky was yellow, the floor was yellow, you were yellow. And I'm like, wow. So those things that I thought about before I went to sleep ended up being key features of his dreams. And they were too specific to be able to say, oh, you must have made it up, or it was a lucky guess. I didn't even ask him about it. He just gave me these details. He's like, well, this is what happened in my dreams where I saw you.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so he's been doing this for years, and he's very, very good at it. He's someone you might call a dream walker. He says he has these experiences of people coming to him in his dreams for healing. And since he's a shamanic practitioner, he says that he's happy to oblige, and that he knows that what he's doing in the dream world is actually affecting them physically in the waking world. Or, maybe they're asleep at the time, maybe not. I've learned that it doesn't matter whether you're asleep or not, that you can share a dream space with someone. It's independent of time. In other words, you go into the dream space and another person can be awake, but you can share a dream space with them. The dream space is outside of time and space, so it doesn't matter when you're sleeping. It's there and it's waiting for you. Did I tell you about
see, I've always wondered about that. Like if you sleep at a different time than somebody does, but y'all, you could still connect because that space is still held for you maybe, huh?
Yeah. And I found out that is real, that it's true. I used to think that, like a lot of people, that there had to be like a brainwave that was getting sent out that was getting crossed with other people's brainwaves as they're sleeping and dreaming. And that's how somehow it's creating this shared experience. But it turns out, dude, that it's a lot deeper than that. There were 5 members of the same family who all had the same dream in the same night, except for one of the family members was halfway across the world at the time. So the 4 family members dreamed that they went to Central Park and that there was this skyscraper tall gateway with these colors and energy, crackling energy, and there were people who were going in and out of it. And so the family walks through the gateway and they appear in Tokyo. And it's at Ibisu Gardens, which is a famous place in Tokyo. They walk out and they see their father, of the family. So there's 3 siblings, the mom, and they join their father. So now there's the 5-some, right? And they go off and they continue like a vacation that had actually gotten cut short in waking life. Earlier, like a week earlier, Dad was in Tokyo at the time and was working, and the family had to cut their vacation short. So in their dream world, they get together to continue the vacation. So the 4 members of the family are in the East Coast, New Jersey. They have these dreams about all 4 of them. Same dream. They go to Central Park. There's this skyscraper tall gateway. They walk through the gateway. They appear in Tokyo. They meet up with their dad. They continue the vacation. Dad, at that time, while they are asleep and dreaming, Dad is awake. He's on Tokyo time. So now when the family is awake and he's asleep, and he said that he had a dream that he had decided to call off of work that day, and he went to Yubisu Gardens in Tokyo, and he was sitting on a bench off to the side, and that there was this massive gateway where people were walking back and forth and teleporting, and he looks over and he sees the 3 siblings and the mom appear through the gateway, and then he's like, hey, I'm over here, and they got together and went off and continued exploring Tokyo. So they had the same 5 people shared a dream, each one seeing the dream from their own perspective, and they were asleep at different times. And that's what proved to me that the dream place is outside of normal space-time. It exists in another dimension or whatever you want to call it, and that you do not have to be asleep and dreaming at the same time in order to share a dream space.
Wow.
Wild, huh?
Yeah, that is incredible, man. Wow. So how do we do this? All right. So now that we're all in this isolated time, isn't this like the perfect time where we can do this though, you know, like where we should try to do this? I mean, I feel like that's what I was saying before the break. I mean, I feel like we're kind of being forced to go internally anyways. So why not like embrace it? I mean, the people in your community are probably doing this more, right? I would imagine.
Oh, it's crazy how many people are reporting that their dream lives are much more vivid and active. And of course, they're having more sleep, but also more focus on their inner world. And this is the time, dude. This is the time to do it. And if anybody out there wants to do this, if they want to embrace their dream world, I've got so many materials that are available that I have put out there, and they're on my website and my online school. Most of this stuff you can access. You don't have to pay for anything if you don't want to. And you can get a lot of this information. If you go to dreams.reddit.com, there are some tabs up there, and one of them at the top of the page or near it. And it says, one of them says interpret dreams. And there's a drop-down menu there. And one of them is a book that I wrote called RadOwl's Crash Course in Dream Interpretation. And I put it at archive.org. I put a copy of it there. And you can download it onto your device. You can read it online. You know, that's cool, whatever you want to do. I also have on YouTube and at my school, I have a series of videos that explains things like dream settings and dream characters and symbols and actions and all that. I take you through my 3-step process of dream interpretation. This is the time to do this. We've got the time now. You know, a lot of people, a lot more people than usual, their lives have been disrupted and they have time to focus on what's going on internally. And I would say do it now. And if you want to look at it from a practical perspective, this could be what saves you in these upcoming years, because we're going to have to be navigating some really difficult times. And you're not going to be able to rely on the things externally that you've been able to rely on up till now. You're going to have to rely on your own internal sense of how to navigate through this. And what better way? Start now. This could be your opportunity to get the basic training that you need to survive. And I don't say that lightly. So
yeah, but I also kind of feel like too that that a part of our external world represents our internal world, because we've talked about that too. And I feel like if people will just answer the call to go internally, it'll clear some of this blocks out, you know, it might actually manifest.
Yeah. Well, the future is still to be determined, and maybe these events can turn around to be something that ends up being really good for us. You know, we're finding out a lot of things about ourselves internally based on what's happening to us externally. You know, I mean, who do we trust? You know, there's so much about our institutions right now that are showing themselves to be, they've decayed to the point where we can't trust them. We don't know who to believe. You know, if you go to the conspiracy forum at Reddit, it is blowing up. You know, oh, it's 5G. You know, it's they want to put a microchip in us. It's, you know, it's Bill Gates and his, you know, cadre of you know, cabal of billionaire evil dudes who want to, you know, and everybody's reaching out, but nobody really knows. And I'm going, nah, man, you need to look internally. You know the truth because it resonates inside of you. This stuff will just get you lost in that world of speculation. We don't know any of this stuff. But what it's doing, I think, is it's showing that we can't, these institutions that we've relied upon, they're decaying, and we need a different answer. It needs to come from within us. And perhaps what we are seeing externally is a reflection of the decay that has happened internally. There is a consequence for so much of our lives being spent outside of our internal worlds and disconnected from who we really are. There's a cause and effect that might be happening here, so that we're seeing it externally, but it's beginning internally. So if we all decide that we're going to do this work together at this time, and there are a lot of people who are embracing this, and I'm finding them coming together through Zoom meetings and stuff where we're doing meditations and breathing together, and we're, you know, I'm getting people who are coming and asking for help with their dreams and understanding their dream lives, and their people are coming to you and asking you how to do some of this energetic, you know, working with energy and stuff like that, and we're teaching them, and they're absorbing this and they're applying it. So maybe as they improve their internal condition, maybe, Joe, maybe it'll help improve the external condition.
I think it will.
Maybe it'll be a blessing in disguise, man. I mean, that's what we can hope, you know, and I think that there's more than just hope there. I think that there's a cause and effect relationship, but we need to get our internal house in order. Before we can fix the world, man, we got to fix ourselves.
That's right.
So
I mean, as within, so without, right? If that's true, then that's true, right? Like, I got one interpretation I want to run by you here from the text in line. It says around 4:45 a.m., I was tossing and turning awake, you know, totally awake. But, you know, when you fall back asleep pretty soon, and I was lying on my back, and I heard a loud noise or tone right in my face, like a vroom, I actually screamed because it was so loud, and I felt I was awake. But I didn't see anything, so I calmed down and eventually passed out. Now, I did a Google search on this, and it points me to an experience called exploding head syndrome. Do you have any experience with this? I've had experience with that, actually, believe it or not.
Yeah. There is, and you can see this on brain scans as a person is falling asleep. They have these things, they call them pinwheels, and what they are these little, they are little explosions of electrical energy in your brain as you're falling asleep. And it's sort of the speculation on this is that it's discharges of energy. When you're awake, you're holding on to this energy because you need it. But as you're falling asleep, you need to let go of this energy. And it's actually shown as I call them. Well, the researchers too call them pinwheels because that's what they look like on the EEGs. There'll be this little explosion of lines going out in all directions from a central point. And I can see it visually as I'm falling asleep. I can actually see these things, these little bursts of light that are going on in my head. And it can be accompanied by sounds, sometimes very loud sounds. I've had it manifest as hearing my name called very loudly. And it sounds like it's like right there in my headspace, or somebody's right next to my ear and they say my name really loudly, you know, or it's just a sound that I'll hear. So I think that's what they're talking about when they talk about exploding head syndrome, is it's just the process of falling asleep. It can be very interesting if you follow that process into sleep. You know, you had Ian Wilson on last time I was on, and we talked together. And Ian has gotten very good at being able to remain awake as he's going to sleep. It's called dream yoga. And it's a way of being able to focus so much that your body can fall asleep, but your mind stays awake, and you're actually able to observe the process as it happens. And Ian said that he's actually seen the dream form from a basic grid that then takes on like more texture and detail, and then it becomes three-dimensional, and then it renders into a complete three-dimensional environment with color and texture and all that stuff. But he says it all starts as just this grid of lines, crisscrossed lines, and that it evolves from that point on. I've been able to observe it to a certain extent, but then there comes a point where I just go unconscious as I'm falling asleep. I haven't been able to master this yet. But yeah, that's what it sounds like to me, dude. The call, whoever asked that question, it sounds to me like they're experiencing the pinwheels of electrical discharge that happens as your brain goes to sleep.
Man, I've had that happen so many times. Now when I looked it up and it said exploding head syndrome, I was like, that's one heck of a name to call it, right?
Yeah, it sure is.
It's crazy to have something like that happen. It did, but I thought I was crazy when it happened at first, but no, I found out it was normal. So then I feel like some of these deep and dark symbols I was talking to you about earlier, like owls, if I came to you and said, hey, I've been seeing owls in my dreams a lot. That's, you look this stuff up and it's universal, but owls are, I talked to Mike Clellan about owls too, and people have big experiences with, owls in their dreams. What are your thoughts on that? I don't think I've ever asked you about that symbol.
Well, and this is the thing about a dream symbol is that it's drawing somehow on your personal experience. So an owl can mean something very specific to you. And there are some what we'll call universal meanings. There are things that come to mind right away. Owls are associated with wisdom, with ability to be able to see at night. They're silent hunters. They show one face when they don't think they're being observed. They have one face, but as soon as they observe, they look, their eyes kind of turn down and they look very predatory. Yeah. But if you look at them when they're not under that, and they do that to say, hey, buddy, watch out because I mean business. It's their way of, projecting an image in a way. So these are ideas that can be taken and incorporated into a dream, such as you have one face that you show to the people who are familiar to you, a kinder face, a more receptive face. But when you get into an environment where you're around unfamiliar people or situations, you kind of draw the eyes down and you put up the hard face. These are things that we've observed about owls that could be pulled into a dream and used as symbolism. But there could be something that is very specific to your experience with maybe directly with owls or just things that you associate with them that could be used as the underlying basis of the symbolism. I just helped a guy with a dream earlier tonight that featured an owl. I was on Reddit, and he said that he had this dream that there was a rabbit that came to his back door, and that this snake came out of nowhere and wrapped up the rabbit and was killing it. And he tried to stop the snake from killing the rabbit, and but he's not successful. The snake uncoils from the rabbit, and he looks down and he sees a dead owl there. And so I can't tell the dude what his dream means. These symbols are very specific, and that kind of, thing is, I can only make suggestions to someone when they come to me with a dream like that. And so what I did is I just kind of put the ideas together, and I said, look, if I had a dream like that, I would look at it as, well, the rabbit could represent something about me that is under threat, and the threat is the snake. Now, let's say that there's something rabbit-like about me. Let's say that, take an association with rabbits. Well, you think off the top of your head, rabbits are docile, and they're not out to hurt anyone. The last thing, if you encounter a rabbit in the wild, that's the last thing you need to worry about that could be, a potential danger to you. So equate that with, when are the times, I'm normally somebody who's not dangerous to be around. I'm kind of rabbit-like in that sense. Let's just say, for example, but what happens when a dark mood comes on me or a dark thought? That could be represented as the snake. And when a dark thought or dark mood comes on me, well, now I'm no longer the docile rabbit. There's something that becomes kind of dangerous about me. It's represented as the snake. So what does the owl mean? Well, the owl could mean that I'm realizing that it is not a very wise idea for me to be taken over by a dark mood or thought. And I proposed this to the guy. I just threw it out there to see. And he resonated with that idea. He's like, yeah, I see that. He's like, I've been through some really big changes lately. And, there is something about the way that you described that dream and what the symbol could mean that's really resonating with me. And so that's the point is that the owl is used in a story. It's not just a symbol that's there by itself. And this is why when you look up on a search engine what a dream symbol means, that it can actually be an injustice to just, take what they say are the universal meanings, because there can be things that are very specific. Okay, so an owl represents wisdom. Well, what does it mean if the owl is dead? I mean, well, now you take that and you put it together with the idea of the dream, and you go, well, okay, if the owl in this case is a symbol of, wisdom in that sense, if it's dead, then it means that you have done something that's not very wise. This is where you get beyond dream dictionaries and stuff. And I know as somebody who wrote a dream dictionary, that you have to be very careful with trying to put forth ideas about dream symbols that are supposed to be these concrete definitions. I have on my shelf here, it's called the Zohar's Dream Dictionary. And you look up a symbol like an owl, and it'll say, well, if you dream about an owl, it definitely means... and it'll give you a definition. And I'm like, oh my God, how could you possibly say that? That is so unwise, because you can't say that dream symbol is universal or it has one definition. Now, there are some ideas, because based on common experience, we all have heard the thing about owls being wise because they look that way, and a symbol of knowledge. My wife's, she's a school teacher, and her school, they call them the Owls. That's their school mascot. So we've all made this association between owls and kind of scholarly, and intelligence and wisdom and knowledge and stuff like that. And that's what it could mean in a dream. But it's not to say that that is definitely what it does mean. Sure. You have to just take that as an idea to begin with. But you have to look at the dream. You have to look at the symbol within the context of the story of the dream. It doesn't just put the symbol there by itself. It puts it into a setting. It puts it into an action. It puts it into a context. And that is what defines for you. That is what the dream does to help you to help you to know which definition or which meaning of the symbol is intended by the dream. And it could be something that's completely different than what you would expect. It could be based on very personal experience. Like the guy who had a dream that he was attacked by a raccoon. I got into this dream with the guy. Put in RadOwl attacked by RadOwl dream attacked by raccoon, and you'll find it on my website.
Raccoons mess you up, man.
They can, yeah.
Yeah,
he had this dream. It was based on, and the symbolism of the raccoon was based on something that happened when he was a kid, and he was at a campground with his parents, and his parents told him not to feed the raccoons. And he's just this little kid running around, and he couldn't understand why. He felt like he was being punished for doing something that he didn't see the reason why there was anything wrong with doing it. And he felt like he was being punished for it because his parents got kind of, upset with him for feeding the raccoons. So when the raccoon appeared in his dream, it was based off of that experience that was very personal to him. It was the feeling that he was being punished for something and he didn't understand why. That was the idea of the raccoon. Now tell me a dream dictionary, Joe. Tell me a dream dictionary that will come up with that one. You look up raccoon in the dream dictionary, and and what it means is you're being punished for something that you don't understand why. I mean, so you can't look it up in a dream dictionary for him and find the answer, because it's based off of his personal experience. And this is why you need some basic training in learning how to decode dream symbols, because most of them you will not be able to look in a dream dictionary and find what the meaning is. And even if you could, it denies you the opportunity to work through the content of the dream and work through your feelings and thoughts about it and come up with the answer for yourself. So in a way, it's an injustice if you do get an answer without having to do the work of figuring it out for yourself.
Well, I'm kind of wondering in a way that, I mean, some of this stuff about, astral travel and dreams, it's been a constant thing for us to ask ourselves here, like, is it the same thing? Is it a different thing? Or are they connected? And I have to think, after everything that you've told me, every show that we've done, all the stuff you're talking about is definitely connected, man. I mean, it's definitely what Robert Monroe talks about with Locale 1, what you're talking about, all of these things. I think it's definitely connected. And I don't know that it doesn't matter what we're focused on. Like, say, for instance, if I'm focused on having an out-of-body experience, then I'm probably going to have something like that. Or if you're focused on dream interpretation and being lucid, then more than likely you're probably going to have something, like that. You're going to be interpreting your dreams more. I think it's a matter of intention, right? Like you were saying earlier.
And I think that what we're talking about are a spectrum of phenomena there's slight variations of the same phenomena. Lucid dreaming, out-of-body experience, astral projection are all very similar. And if you go into one and you learn how to do one, then you're going to learn how to do the others. I think lucid dreaming is the most accessible for people. It's easier to learn, and the information about it is more readily available. Robert Wagner is a great source on this. I'm reading his book, Lucid Dreaming, Plain and Simple. And no kidding, plain and simple. It's not that hard to do. You have to practice a lot if you're not a natural at it.
Robert Wagner, yeah.
What we're talking are variations of the same experience. And I think the difference is the intensity of it, or the amount of shift in perception that you're able to have. Like, let's say at one end of the spectrum, you have lucid dreaming. And at the other end of the spectrum, as you go through, you can go from lucid dreaming to astral projection. And you could say that astral projection is a next level of lucid dreaming. That it's the same basic idea. It's the same basic process. It's a shift of perception. When you astral project, you're not actually really leaving your body. You're bringing the world into you. You're shifting your perception. This is one of the things that Ingo Swann said about remote viewing. He's like, yeah, I saw what was on the opposite side of the moon. He's like, they sent me there as part of a black program, and I saw them. And then they asked him, well, what do you mean them? And he's like, them, the freaking aliens. What do you think I mean by them? Right? But he said, I didn't go to my mind, my body, my spirit. My mind did not leave my body and go to the other side of the moon. I brought the other side of the moon into my own mind. So when you're astral projecting, I think that it's a variation of that you're bringing this to you instead of you going to it. Then you can keep going down the spectrum, and you have something like, say, a near-death experience. Those people say that they actually leave their body and they can see it laying there on the operating table or dead on the ground or whatever. Thousands and thousands of people have reported the same experience, right? And then at the complete other end of the spectrum, you have death, where you leave your body for good. And it's a complete shift of perception away from the physical body. So you began at one end with lucid dreaming, and it's a little bit of a shift of perception away from the physical body, away from the physical senses. I can do it when I'm conscious with Bob's Focus 10 technique. What am I doing? I'm shifting my attention away from the body. I'm shifting it into my mind. I'm getting my body very, very, very relaxed so that I can focus on what's happening in my mind. And as I keep going deeper into Bob's program, what am I doing? I'm shifting the perception. So you kind of think of it as a scale of 0 to 100. 0, you're fully conscious, fully within your body, absorbed by your senses. Go up to 20, where are you at? Maybe you're in a dream state. Go up to 40, where are you at? Maybe you're in a lucid dream state. Go up to 60, where are you at? Maybe now you're astral projecting. Go up to 80, where are you at? Now you're remote viewing, or you're having an out-of-body experience. Go to 100, where are you at? You're completely out of your body. So I think it's variations of the same experience. It's just a shift in perception. And this is what Ingo Swann said, who was probably one of the best psychics of the last century, who was put through the rigors of scientific testing and was part of the remote viewing program out of Stanford Research Institute. And if you hear the physicists talk about him, they say he taught us how to do this stuff. Like Ingo was the reason why the remote viewing program basically happened, because he was able to teach the physicists how it worked and was able to explain it to them in their own language. And he said that it's a shift in perception. And I think Bob has said something very similar, Bob Monroe. And in my own experience, I found it to be the same thing. You're just shifting perception.
That's an interesting way to look at it. That is an interesting way to look at it. I didn't understand what was happening at first. The first time I went to that focus 10 state where I'm like, yeah, my body's paralyzed and it's starting to vibrate, but I'm wide awake. Like, this is a trip, now what am I going to do? I think a lot of people get scared during that time too, JM, and then they get afraid, and that's how that sleep paralysis stuff starts. But you got to get excited when that happens, man. Like, oh yeah, something's about to happen now. And then I think it kind of changes for you after that. But
yeah. And other people have been through it, so you're going to be safe. That's the biggest thing. When you start experiencing something that's very different from what you've ever experienced before, and you're having a physical reaction to it, then you start to wonder, like, man, is this dangerous? But, you can look and go, well, hey, look, Bob's done this, and thousands of other people every day are doing this, and they go out and have these journeys, and they come back. Or maybe they're not really leaving, but they're just going into an altered state of consciousness, but they're able to come out of it and they're fine. So you have to know that going into it, that you can just relax into it, let it happen, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's some good advice, man. And, I want to tell everybody too that to follow you while we're going through this stuff. I mean, like while we're going through this, whatever, COVID-19, social distancing nightmare that some people believe is a nightmare, I think it's a good thing, and you should follow JM. And how can people find you? Like, where you hang out mostly? Is it in the Reddit chat, or are you just kind of all over the place? Because you've been pretty busy lately, brother.
Yeah, man. At Reddit, dreams.reddit.com, and I'm RadOwl there. I'm about to kick off something there pretty soon where I'm going to start being more active with teaching, and maybe start doing some live Q&As where you can come there, and I would go there and look up my materials. It's all over the sidebars there, or just go to the top tab where it says Interpret Dreams. At least look up RadOwl's Crash Course on Dream Interpretation. It takes 2 hours to read the book or listen to the audiobook, and you can get a really good grasp on how I do this. There are 3 simple steps to dream interpretation, or 3 simple facts, and then 3 steps. And I can teach you the basics. And then I'm going to be there at Reddit more, where I can teach this and do some live Q&As and stuff like that. But you can also go to dreams123.net or dreams123.com. And I have an entire textbook worth of information there. All kinds of subjects related to dreams, and it's all there. And, people can come and look that up. But come be part of our community. Dude, since the last time we talked, I think I've had like 25,000 more people subscribe at Reddit Dreams, and it is blowing up. There is more going on there than what I'm able to keep track of as a moderator. And we just talked about this. Like, how do we recruit more people who are really interested in dreams? Give them some basic training on how to talk to people about their dreams. You don't even have to be a dream interpreter. Just engage with people. Get them to talk about their dreams a little bit, and because we have so many people who are coming there and they're sharing dreams and they're not getting much of a response. And it's just because the sheer volume is crazy. And most people, they don't know how to talk to people about their dreams. Well, hey, I'll give you some basic training. Drop by Reddit, dreams.reddit.com, and look us up and become part of our community. And we'll we could really use some people there who are enthusiastic about the subject and willing to engage and just make the community. I mean, it's pretty lively as it is, but we need some help over there. So drop by and see me at Reddit.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for coming back on again, man. I can't wait to talk to you again and see where we're at, after all of this. Man. Are we still going to be caged in like a bunch of caged elephants, or Or are we going to be out and about the next time I talk to you? I wonder.
Man. Yeah, man, for sure. Well, I want to do it soon. This is, I think, my 4th time on your show, and we started back in December. So we're averaging about once a month. So I'll be back, and I'll be back soon, and we'll continue with this. I love talking to you, Joe.
Yeah, man. I really enjoy talking to you, too, and we'll talk to you again soon. All right, brother.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Yep.
All right, y'all. That was JM Debord. We'll leave all the links in there for the show notes for the podcasters as well. We'll be right back with some afterthoughts. The Reverend Dan Lopez. Stay with us.
This is Rev Dan Lopez from Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi, this is David Oman with HouseAtTheEndOfTheDrive.com. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of the Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Alex Exum.
This is Alex Exum of the Exum Experience in Live Talk, where we discuss current events, society, and culture. My shows are based in actuality, actual existence, contrasted with what was intended, expected, or believed. You can listen to me live Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. only on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
This is Reverend John M. Polk, and you are listening to KTLK Digital Broadcasting right here on the Fringe.fm.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Rooper, in the third hour after JM Debord has just paid us a visit for the 4th time on this broadcast to talk about dreams. And I think it's a good thing to do dream interpretation, consciousness exploration, and a little astral travel, and do a little reading while you're stuck like Chuck. We're all stuck like Chuck. And I don't have Chuck here with me, but I got the Reverend Dan Lopez. And what do you think about all that, man? Like, he said a lot of people have been having a lot of intense dreams here lately because of this stuff and all the energy that is going through now. And I don't doubt that that's true because, I mean, it is. I mean, how many people have you talked to that have been going through rough stuff right now? The stuff we were doing in the chat room last night, we were doing tarot readings for people, and a lot of people are going through rough, well, I wouldn't say rough stuff. It's all like transitions. Some of them are rough and some of them aren't, and some of them are pretty intense. But I don't want to, tell people's stuff, but it's just kind of obvious to me now that this energetic thing that we have been constantly denying since whenever we decided that astrology and energy and all this stuff isn't real. It's like, I think that we just need to realize it now, and just go with it and stop fighting it. Realize that it's true. It's true. Maybe it's me.
Maybe it's you. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's what's really going on and everything. And it's true. I mean, this is what I was saying the other night as far as all of that dreams coming in and everybody's, experiencing some heavy-duty dreams and stuff like that. Because, look, there's a lot of stress going on in the world, and so that energy is like permeating all over the place. People are distancing themselves. They don't want to be close to one another and stuff like that. And they're all fearful and, oh God, they don't know where the hell they stand. And so, yeah, it's bound to permeate everything. And so people who are sensitive to this stuff, this is what we were talking about before, about being sensitive. We pick up on all of that, and it just, like he was saying, I wouldn't be surprised if that stuff could come into you and influence you from outside. And I agree with him. Sometimes that can happen. I mean, some people pick it up. There are some people I know that they'll pick it up and they'll know what's going to happen. They don't want to say anything because it's not normally good. But what's funny is that those are the things that they usually get. Like, they don't get good and bad. They usually just pick up on just the bad. And they're normally of a mindset where it's like not... they're of a mindset where they're not normally in fear all the time. But every once in a while, they just get bombarded with a vision of what's to come.
What do you mean? Like bombarded, though?
They get bombarded with a vision that, bombarded by influences. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess I could. I guess I do. I know what you mean, but I'm trying to learn how to interpret my intuition more, man, instead of my ego. And that's the biggest thing I've been going through lately. Trying to listen to the voice inside of me, man. That's like, that one that's always been there since you was a kid, and then the other one that's kind of grown with you over time that tries to protect you or keep you from damaging the parts of yourself and all this other thing. Like, there's only one way that I know for a fact how to listen to it, and that's dream interpretation. It's like, that's the only way to really know, to listen to your intuition. But I still think like we have this stuff in our brain that isn't really symbolism. Like, there's dreams that have deep symbolism, and you can feel the nostalgia of the dream. And then they're really intense. And sometimes you want to go back to them. They're so good. And then there's this like other stuff that happens. It's like a jumbled up mess. And it usually happens in my head, like right before I wake up, where nothing makes sense. I feel like I'm on acid or something. And then I feel like our brain has to get rid of that stuff. Because I'd go crazy if I had to interpret every little thing as a sign,
Yeah.
So how do we tell the difference?
Imagine. You're a crazy person. No, kid. How do we tell the difference? Well, it's a matter of training. It's like you said, it's something you have to seriously sit down and get into it with somebody with somebody's teaching that actually will walk you through it. Somewhere in there's references involving your feelings and your thoughts and how to discern between knowing what you're feeling and what your thoughts are, and stop trying to say that I feel like this and I feel like that. No, you feel happy, glad, sad, mad. Those are the feelings. And what we like to do is we like to attach the things or the events to those emotions. And since we can't separate the two, We actually believe that I feel like a piece of poop, or I feel terrible, or you know what I mean? So it's like what we need to do is, what I needed to do is actually just start separating how I feel emotionally from what I think.
So right now I feel angry because the crickets are back.
Oh dear.
So what does that mean?
Well, that's where you got to get those. It means you got to get a snake. I told you that last year.
Need a snake.
Either that or some frogs, bro.
Need a snake. Yeah, listen.
Yeah, or a frog.
They did this to me before. I'm not doing this again. See,
I know what you're saying. We have we got a door downstairs in the basement, and all kinds of wolf spiders are trying to make their way in and stuff. And I'm like, where's the peppermint when I need it?
Yeah. Well, I get what you're saying. Like when you're saying separate emotions from feelings, right? That's what you're saying. Look at the difference.
That's a start. Yeah.
That's a start. Yeah. Well,
that's a start, because this way you can start saying, if you walk into a place, like I was telling my daughter the other night when we walked into the supermarket, I was like, when I walk in here, the first thing I want to do is get the hell out. And she was saying, yeah, it's gotten like that, because she knows a bunch of people who work in there, and she's like, it's like that all the time for them. They're like, it feels so dense, and because everybody's all out of their head when they walk in there.
Yeah, you don't want to be a part of that. See, like I've had things where I know that started in the mind. Like you have a thought, and then you like obsess on that thought, and the next thing you know, you're having emotions, and then the next thing you know, you're like, well, these emotions are my truth. But you didn't like go back and see how all of that started, how you started this in your mind, and then you obsessed on it, and then it became an emotion, and then you process it, and you're like, whoa, this must be my truth because I'm frustrated or angry or confused. However, I've also had times where I'm just moseying along in my life or whatever, doing whatever, and my emotions get pulled before I even have a thought. So I think there's a difference in the two. And I think we have to recognize, I think at least I got to recognize that the difference,
Yeah.
They say everything starts in the mind, but I don't know how we define mind. I don't know. I think everything starts with energy. What do you think, brother?
Well, everything's energy. It was so funny. I was just watching something earlier today. They were talking about the scientists were actually talking about, they were talking about, so funny. It was a thing of Russell Targ because his teaching head came up. One of the released CIA program things from the Gateway, or what is it called? Something for Gateway or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. I know.
Had come up and right. So one of the things that were listed in there was saying that they went down and they checked out exactly. There was some contention between what is material and energy, or matter and energy. And they went down the line and they found that there was space between the electrons and the nucleus, and they found out that there was even space between the electron itself, in the electron and space inside the nucleus itself, to the point where matter truly doesn't exist as we understand it. I was like, oh, yeah. It's all energy, man.
There's this stupid guy today that punched his mother in the face because his mother was hiding toilet paper from him. You believe that?
Yeah, there's a lot of stupid people out there, man.
What would you do? I'm just curious. What would you do?
About what?
No, just hold on a second. If you were neighbors with somebody, it's not even your family, and you're out taking your trash out, and you look over and you see these two arguing, son and mother, and he's mad because she had toilet paper from him, and he punches his own mama. I got to think, man, I'd probably do something. I don't think I could handle that. I thought about that today. Like, what if I was around and, you always been teaching me my whole life, Dan, keep your side of the street clean. When things get crazy and you don't know what's up or down or whatever, just keep your side of the street clean and everything will pass. But if I came across some dude like that would put his hands like that on his own mother, I don't know if I could stay on my side of the street, bro. Over toilet paper?
I don't blame
anything.
I probably would have walked over and pistol whipped his ass.
Yeah, I mean, like...
I'm not kidding.
I'm not either.
And then I would have told him, "You're lucky my hand is in on the trigger."
Yeah, people are like,
as I'm cracking his skull open.
Dan, are you angry?
And of course, me?
Yeah,
man, people have messed up. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm upset about a lot of stuff going on. Don't know what's going on with the family and stuff like that. So, I'm on edge, and I'm on edge. I'm on edge, man. I'm on edge.
You hear me, though?
I don't have my Tootsie Roll. Yeah, I love you, too.
Everything's gonna be all right. It will be. And I think we should tell everybody that. Everybody that you can. Like, everything's gonna be all right. You know, we all know what's going on, man. It's not a mystery anymore. I'm not going to go on that rant, but, you know, when we wake up from this, we're going to be, oh, my God, I'm getting attacked by crickets.
Yeah, it's loud.
Yeah.
It's almost as loud as my freaking pump.
What does that mean? What do crickets mean? Why do they keep doing this to me? Crickets, omens. Do you believe in omens?
Personally, no, but that would have been good to put down in our episode when we went over superstitions.
To have a cricket on the hearth is the luckiest thing in the world. Then why does it drive me so crazy? If it's so, it drives me nuts listening to him. Like, I was going to make a bit about that too, you know? Listen to this.
Dude, if I rub...
Y'all hear it?
No, you can only hear it when you're talking.
I turn the gate off, but every time I turn it down, they shut up. It's like they know. They know, man. They know. They're government crickets. They're in here. They got stuff on them. They're listening to me. They know. You know?
That's right. You're bugged. You're bugged, Joe.
Well,
they got you bugged.
Here's the thing. I don't think that we're going to be able to stop what we want to stop with the 5G thing, but I know people are upset about it. There was some people in the UK today that actually, in England, that actually went to pull down a tower, you know. They went to pull it down. And if the English can do it, then we can do it. I'm not saying go out and start pulling towers down, but they shouldn't be able to just like do this stuff without us letting them. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're passing this stuff in the house and all this stuff's happening while this COVID-19 stuff is going on. And everybody, you know, I even heard like the local radio today while I was heading home. I actually went to East End and was coming back, and this DJ was like, well, apparently there's a new conspiracy theory out that COVID-19 has everything to do with 5G. And that's the details they put in there. That's what they said. They didn't talk about all of the stuff that we talked about or all of the stuff that Dr. Seidel talked about. They just said that phrase and left it so that we look like crazy people. And it made me so mad, man, because they leave out so many details. And, you know.
Of course it did. Of course they did. They're not going to tell everybody. That's the media. Dude, they're part of the problem. They're part of the problem. They're part of the programming. That's why they call it programming. Right? We've been programmed since we came out.
Well, if a molecular scientist shows what happens with 60 gigahertz, you know, then I think we should look at it. But I'm also to the point where I may not have a cell phone anymore, you know? Because if all we're going to have is 5G phones, we don't have a choice. People don't see it, man. They don't see the problem. They don't see that all of our choices are being taken away from us. And I'm really thinking about doing
interesting.
This. We should get an island. We should all throw our money in, and we should all just live off the grid and do that, filter our water like you were talking about. Build something to where we all have free electricity and just have our own community and do what we want to do. We can do it, man. We all pitched in.
Of course we can. Of course we can, but we won't.
Why not?
Getting people together is like herding cats.
Have you lost faith in humanity, Dan? We're back full circle from when you first came on the show.
Have we lost humanity? Have I lost in humanity again?
Yeah. I
don't have a category for where they are right now. I mean, they're where they are, and I'm where I am. It's funny because it's like if I think about it, I can just sit here and say, look, as far as I know, back in 1972, I've just been waiting for everybody else to play catch up.
Where were you in 1972?
Puerto Rico, seeing a freaking UFO. Like up close and personal and stuff.
Was it a saucer UFO?
No, it was one of them orange balls, and it was like less than 100 yards away, less than a football field away. And I called to my uncle. My uncle saw it, and then all my neighbors, they all came out. They all knew what it was. It just hadn't been one this close to come across the field across the way like that before. But yeah, I know what I saw, and my uncle knew what it was, and so I was like, well, there it is. As far as I'm concerned, it's what it was. So, and everybody asking, is it real? Is it real? I was like, well, I can't tell you it was real. I saw it, but I can't tell you. It's not going to make it any more real for you. So, people believe what they want to believe.
You got that right. People
I guess that was why, yeah. That was why it was easy for me when I got clean and just totally changed my perception of how things were. Well, I can't say that it was easy. It took 35 days. But yeah, it was, it was hardcore deprogramming, At some point, some of us were saying, well, this is kind of like, because it's repetitious, you have to keep repeating the things over and over and over again because you're dysfunctional and you're learning how to go from dysfunction to functional. So, or healthy, from unhealthy ego to healthy ego. So, because our egos at the time just wanted to destroy ourselves. It didn't care. It wanted to be front and center, but it also wanted self-destruction, which was insane, right? So what I needed to learn was that everything was cool. It wasn't what I was thinking the whole time because I was brought up in a manner that this was normal. My whole family were alcoholics, so this was just, to me, by the time I was 15, I was full blown. Yeah, and I was okay with that. I get drunk, I fall down, everything's the same. So coming into this and going through all the spiritual principles and stuff like that, we were saying, this is kind of like brainwashing. And they were like, well, yeah, well, don't you think your brain needs to be washed?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm telling you, even the news people right now are running out of things to talk about. I mean, a global condom shortage. I mean, that's the headlines right now. Seriously?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Yeah. This is toilet paper, and now it's condoms, right? So the next thing it's going to be is paper towels, and then it's going to be towels. I just think... I think there's a lot of weird stuff going on, man. Have you seen these mysterious objects flying close to the moon lately that they're showing all the time?
I don't know about all the time, but I saw that black and white one where they were cresting the horizon and then coming across and showing and putting shadows against the moon. Yeah, those I saw. That was cool.
Yeah, and this internet connection's messing up, but these things look like just little weird, saucer, tiny oval-shaped things that just keep going across the moon. And at first I thought, well, they're probably satellites. You know, maybe that's what they are. They're probably just satellites, and that's it. But the more I'm watching this stuff, I think it could be whatever they're putting up in the sky right now, whatever the military is putting out there. Like, we need to go outside and look up and see what's going on. When we get put in our house, we need to go out and look up. And maybe I'm the one that's crazy here and I'm naive or something. But when I go outside and I go into my city here in Arkansas, I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody sick. It's normal
same
here.
Yeah. Same here.
What's really going on then?
I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, I just went over to the doctor's office earlier yesterday, and to get my lab work done for my blood, and there was nobody in that office. And I was asking her, I was like, it's really quiet. And she's like, we want it to be quiet. I'm like, I'll bet you do. She's like, we don't want nobody getting sick. I was like, God, I hear you. But there was nobody there. I mean, sure, they're canceling appointments and stuff like that and whatever to leave it open. But there was like nobody there. I mean, nobody. I was the only one there. And usually they make you go in through the side so they can register you and everything like that, and then make you stand online to get into the lab. But this time they just registered me right at the window, and I just went in right to the lab. Talked to the nurse in there, and she was saying, yeah, it's kind of weird. We're getting conflicting information. We don't know what to make of it. So then I was talking to the doctor, my doctor today, and I'm asking her how she's doing, because she's out in New York and Long Island. And trying to find out what their situation was where she is, because she's not in the main hospital. She's just in part of the wing where, they just do the heart stuff. So they're not really up close and personal with what's going on the inside, because they're in their own little bubble. But even from there, she's like, we don't know what the hell's going on. We're hearing conflicting information too. We don't know. We can't make heads or tails out of it. So I started talking to her about it, and she's like, yeah, Dan, I'll be honest with you. You know more than I do at this point. She's like, I have no news of my house. I have no internet. I have cable, and all I have is Netflix. I don't have anything else. And I'm like, well, that's cool. So I started explaining stuff to her and everything like that, and how I felt for her, because, where they are, that's where a lot of, this stuff is going on. And I told her, it's basically part of it is like that spectrum that's being rolled out into this 5G stuff. And, all the hospitals, all the schools, and all these major institutions are going to be, loaded down with this stuff. And you might want to look into getting some radiation shielding. And I started explaining to her what the 60 hertz was. And it's true. It's like you don't know what level of the spectrum they're going to maintain on. It's not like they're going to stick it to just 60 hertz, They use multiple frequencies. It's not like, it's just one and that's it, It's not like your telephone where it's like 2.5 gigahertz or whatever, and that's it. It's a multi-wave, right? And so it's constantly going, which is part of what my theory was, why we're not seeing as many things, as many instances of people going down, for two reasons actually, as we would normally expect, which is one, a lot of people in these cities are already overwhelmed with the frequencies that are being bombarded on a daily basis, from the sleep until they're awake, and awake until they sleep. Constantly. You can hear it. I used to call it the New York hum, because you couldn't get away from it. And you felt weird when you got out of the damn city and you finally had that hum not affecting you. A lot of people are repulsed by it, can't do anything but want to get the hell out of there, permanently. And a lot of people find that they can't live without it, So on one side, you have these people who their bodies are now assimilated to this rise and fall of vibrations constantly on a constant basis, and they've pretty much built up whatever antibodies that they needed to do to contend with it. I don't know about the 60 gigahertz stuff, but because that's some vicious stuff. But for the most part, they're pretty much, well, I would say, immune. And then you have the others that are not. They're just not. And so you have a lot of people who are coming out of the city who are getting sick. Okay, because now they're not in there. And it's also been on for over 6 months. Radiation poisoning usually takes about 6 months to go through. The other thing is, a lot of people are not leaving their homes. They're making people to stay in their homes. So a lot of people are passing away in their homes, and nobody's finding out about it.
Really? Well, I guess I'm just lost out here, man, because I'm sure if I lived in a big city, I would understand the chaos that's going on. But here, it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I live in Arkansas and Little Rock's not that big of a city, and it just don't seem that damn bad, bro. I don't know why.
No, it's not out here. And I'm in the sticks too, man. I'm in the sticks right off of Appalachian Mountains. No joke. It's beautiful. It took me 38 years to try to get the heck out of there. And I did. Wasn't easy. I took a lot of losses to get here, but it is.
So it is worth it.
Far and away.
Yeah? You live
to me?
Yeah. It is worth it, though. It is worth it to kind of have a place away from the city sometimes,
To me, I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't handle the energy. I just couldn't.
I don't blame you.
Stupid and high abundance is not my idea of a good time.
Well, there's a flyer in New York. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. There's a flyer in New York City where a man is hanging flyers, and he's putting up a petition to find a germ-free girlfriend. A 30-something New Yorker seeking a germ-free girlfriend during the coronavirus pandemic has hung dating flyers along the city-running path. He prefers only to be identified as Brad, a.k.a. Steady Man for You, at gmail.com. So if any ladies are interested, there you go. It says in the flyer that he's seeking a girlfriend for coronavirus and beyond, and describes himself as a healthy, attractive, well-employed man who's looking for germ-free monogamy. Now that is direct, right? I bet you somebody answers this guy.
Good luck. Good luck proving that one. That was another thing we were talking about, was that the tests that they were giving, they were like, we don't even, like the test that we were given, she's saying, was they're coming back with false positives. So we really don't even know. It's like 1 minute we had it, next minute we don't. And I was telling her, just go on the CDC thing. They tell you right there. Don't take this as verbatim, because it's still under, whatever.
I don't think this is going to be what everybody thinks it is, honestly. I really don't. I think when they're going to...
In regards to what?
I'm not saying that it's not a virus. I'm just saying, they're going to figure out what's happening. And they're going to be like, the numbers are going down. We got to save the economy. So I guess we'll let you out of your homes. And then something's going to give away. I can just feel it. Then there's other people that are just dead determined on that it's the end of the world, It's another polar mindset. I think. But all I know to do is just read the facts.
That stuff.
What stuff, bro?
Dolores Cannon.
Yeah.
And I always thought about that separation mindset, that separatist mindset, and how some were going to go and some were going to stay, and blah 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 blah. And that always triggered me, because I was just like, well, then it kind of gives you the mindset of who's exceptional and stuff like that. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I think what she was talking about though more was like the mindset of people, the conscious awareness of people, the love of people. Because, I mean, come on, man, even throughout my life, and I'm sure there's many listeners who could definitely say I'm not that same person that I used to be, right? Consciously, lovingly, awareness-wise, I'm just not. I'm totally different. And I think sometimes we do that collectively. But another thing that Dolores talked about was like, it doesn't really matter who goes where. It just know that choice is there. If you decide you want to level up, then do it. But everybody's going to get back to where they came from regardless. Now, that sounds nice, but I don't think she was separating people in that sense, though, But I don't know. Maybe she was.
Maybe she was. But, in a sense, it made sense that how she saw it kind of like delivers what we're seeing today, because there are people who are going to drop, okay? And then there's people who are going to stay. There are people who are going to be considered exceptional, or what do they call it? Essential, right? And people who are not. So in a way, that is already there. That's already there. That's almost undeniable, that's happening. So that separatist stuff is already there. And then there's different egocentric mindsets going on in regards to that. Some people feel great about it. Some people don't feel great about it. You know what I mean? And so you have that to think about. Now there's vibration separation, where we're going from one dimension to another. God only knows how that's going to work out, if it works out that way.
Yeah.
I have no previous experience about that. The only experience I had about that, I'm gaining. No, I leveled off. I plateaued. I've gained about 30 pounds since August.
They got all these polls out now, man. It says that another poll's out that we're eating constantly now, that we're in this quarantine, and we're washing it down with alcohol to deal with the stress. That 28% of adults said they were eating more due to self-quarantine, compared to just 11% who said they're eating less. I think it's like, who cares, Like, we're just doing the best we can, right? Like, what all you say?
Everybody copes the way that they coast. Yeah.
50% of people are playing video games, and the other 50% of people are in chat rooms, and like some people, who cares? There's got to be something better to do. Like last night, I had fun last night, man. We just played music and sat around and chat and did tarot readings and just talked about good stuff. Didn't even really think about the coronavirus. For a moment, it didn't exist. And then we have to come back and deal with it again. So I think we should just do more of those things that make you feel like, that it's not denial. It's just more like, why obsess over it? You can't do anything about it.
Totally.
We got to take this last break. We'll be right back.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Listen, I want to tell you about G.I. Joy from GetTheTea.com. It's the best alchemical concoction of goodies for your stomach and digestive system I can recommend, and that's all based on my experience. Packed with colostrum, acidophilus, aloe, peppermint, and turmeric. If you do your own research, then you know this is the bee's knees for the stomach and digestion. Now, due to Big Brother's ears and the eye in the sky, you know I can't go into the details about what it helped me with. All I can say is I got relief. It's non-GMO, no fillers, no preservatives, manufactured right here in the US of A, and delivered to you by the only people who stay on top of the game and are out in front. Go grab a bottle of GI Joy at getthetea.com and see what all the fuss is about. Again, that's getthetea.com.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fringe FM. See you then.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a void walker.
Hey, Joe Root. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a void walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a void walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, a.k.a. Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Ever seen an extraterrestrial? It can be hard to believe they exist unless you've seen one for yourself. What if I told you I've seen them my whole life, but have never had a witness who shared the encounter with me? Now, what if I told you I saw 4 of them, 2 with blue skin, and there are over 20 witnesses to this CE5 event? My new book, The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, documents actual accounts from real witnesses, many of which have gone on record to attest to this otherworldly reality. Be a part of the quantum paradigm shift that is taking place right now. Go to johnpolkmedia.com to get your copy of The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, on sale right now at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com.
Listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335.
Well, I got to say, Dan, I do, seriously, brother, I love you like a brother, man, like family. And I think right now that's the answer. You know, we've been talking about that for the last 3. Low love is the answer and all that, but it really is. And you know, there are people that are kind of alone right now, that feel alone more than they've ever felt alone in their lives, and we need to recognize that too and love those people. Do you ever notice how that kind of shift happens when we're doing these types of things? There's an energy of people that feel alone and isolated and just they just feel so alone. And then there's other people that are just chock full of love. There's no gray area there. And the reason why I think that is because you're supposed to meet that energy. I mean, we're not responsible for everybody that needs love, but you are going to run into somebody that feels alone, isolated, hurt, maybe something's going on with them. And it's a spiritual call. I believe what's happening now, maybe not for you, Dan, but I believe what's happening now is a spiritual call for people to embrace a change. Seriously, like not just, things are going to change. That world that we knew before the coronavirus hit is gone. So I feel like, we think that when this is over, whatever this is, when this is over, that we're just going to go back to the way things were and everything's going to be normal again, like it always does when we have some type of weird crisis. I don't think that's what's happening this time.
Nope. Not after 30 days of it. People start to reflect. To start to get a different perception, a different paradigm going on in their psyche as to what's going on. And it's a big, huge change for many of them, like you were saying. Now, all of a sudden, even if they were like alone to begin with and living alone or whatever, they always had a place that they went to where they had to deal with other people. And now all of a sudden they're no longer dealing with those people. Part of them may be saying, well, thank God I don't have to deal with retail and customers and stuff like that. Or those, annoying workmates that they go to the cubicles with, and they see on a daily basis, and love and hate, and all of that stuff that goes on an everyday basis for 8 hours out of their day. And then they go and they travel back and forth and they contend with all of this stuff. And now all that they do is they have whatever there's in their house and themselves. Some are just trying to do the best that they can. A lot of people got laid off. Millions of people got laid off. And some are still working, and trying to do what they can and to maintain whatever they're into, a semblance of what was in their own home environment, and it's to some it's earth shattering, to others it's a blessing, but all the same, it's going to be different. It's going to be different.
Yeah, I think
how different that is, I don't know.
Technology is going to be different. The economy is going to be different. The way that we do things are going to be different. Especially if we're not showing these folks that they can't just do or pass whatever they want through the house. When this stuff happens, like a coronavirus or a national emergency, shouldn't there be some kind of protocol in our government to where things cannot get passed while we're going through this stuff? So you can't just be doing stuff behind the scenes while we're, stuck in our houses, not knowing what's going on?
Or stripping your constitutional rights. I think any governor who's out there, and here's a bug, any governor out there who goes ahead and strips constitutional rights and sends out the reserves or whatever, the National Guard to come in and check to see if you're from a different place, that you're going to be toted out and put into quarantine just because your plates aren't the plates of that state, like they did in Rhode Island. I think, they should be removed immediately. No pardon, no mercy. That's all. You're either with the Constitution and you're part of this United States of America, or you're proven to be something completely the opposite of, which we're not. We're not a part of that. And that needs to be, upheld. People need to stand to that and remember that and make sure that it doesn't happen again. If this is a live exercise, well, then we need to exercise that bit of reality in the face of opposition. Those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. As I was saying before, I was like that.
Smart thought.
And the thing is that people are going to be thinking about, there should be a leader who's going to come out and, and lift the people's morale and bring people and unite the people and everything like that. And who's going to come to this charge? And the bottom line is that we have to do it collectively, unitedly, because not one person's going to come because of fear of being taken out. The fear of going to be taken out. So if you come in a united front, it's completely different. It's like everybody who wears a vendetta mask.
That would be
a vendetta mask.
That would be great, right? But unfortunately, I think that's a fallacy too. Like,
who knows? Look what they're doing in Hong Kong. People getting together and they're taking down the.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not an impossibility. It's it's quite a possibility. But people have to get to that point where they don't. They just have to get to that point where they're sick and tired, they're sick of it. Mad as hell and not going to take it anymore. You people are the real thing. They are the illusion. You're a human being, God damn it. Your life has value.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah, we all have that. And I think, I feel kind of guilty, man, because I feel like all this stuff is happening and it's kind of like, it's bad. It's bad. Now, there's no doubt about it. But I feel like I'm going through a good, big kind of change in my life, though. Like, I'm almost grateful for it. Does that make me selfish? I think that kind of does.
Why should it make you selfish? It's so funny. I seen a girl on the socials earlier, and she was saying that she had just come up on 5 years cancer free, and she was upset because she couldn't have a big to-do to celebrate, and she felt kind of bad. I'm like, are you crazy? That's freaking huge. Don't feel bad. Don't ever feel bad. Congratulations. Enjoy this. Whatever good is happening in your life right now, and soak it up. Soak it up for all you can. Don't go nuts, and make other people feel bad. They're going to feel bad no matter what, because that's the way they are. Misery loves company.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you're going through a good time, let those who love you and care about you will celebrate with you. You know what I mean?
That is true.
The people who matter don't mind. The people who mind don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to some people yesterday. I was thinking, one thing I realized now is if there's people that are in their life that are like they're not doing their part to stay in your life or care about you or anything like that. I mean, if you're in a constant battle with somebody, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally, God forbid, physically too. I mean, this is the time when you got to realize that those people are not worth your energy. You see, the way I look at it is like, and this is just me, but I got this from Medea. You remember that show, Medea? Actually, it was like a Christian show, Medea, but she said that you have to look at things like branches and tree branches and leaves, and I forget the analogy, but basically she was saying, if you tell somebody that, hey man, if I got a problem about this, that you do this to me or it hurts or whatever, because you got to understand people are people. But if you tell somebody I got a problem or whatever about this, when you do this, it causes me this problem or it hurts me. If you see that person trying to change that, then that's somebody that you keep around in your life. So you're not asking them to change who they are. You're just saying this behavior or whatever this action is hurts me. If you see that person trying to change that, then that's a person to keep around in your life. It doesn't mean that if they don't try to change it, that they're a bad person. No, it just means that they see what you're talking about and they care about you enough that they want to try to fix that because they care about you, then those are the kind of people you want around. But
sure.
It should be the simple, right? But if you tell somebody this hurts, don't do that or whatever, and they do it, and
it's all in the way that you deliver it.
Yeah. You got to tell yourself, look, this person is not they're just not worth my time and effort. They don't see the value of me in their life, and I'm sure and that's okay. That's
right.
okay.
Doesn't make them a bad person. Doesn't make them bad people. It's just that's who they are, and I need to love myself enough to respect my own boundaries, and I need to respect myself enough to have those boundaries protect the energy that I want in my life.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, and when you get quarantined, or you're quarantined with somebody, I heard my neighbors just freaking out the other night, going off on each other, man. Night before last, and I'm thinking, man, where's they gonna go? Where's the doghouse at? Dude I don't think he can go to a hotel. I think the hotels might be closed. But this is a time when you realize who you get along with, I think. Who you want around your sphere.
it's that kind of character showing, right? Situations like this, where you're put to it. The screws are put to you, and it shows what kind of character you are. Some people will lose it, some people won't. And it's not to say that you won't have your moments. Everybody's, fallible in that essence.
Yeah.
But, but overall, in general, if you can keep it together.
That just hit me like a ton of bricks, this morning. And I woke up out of bed. I had so many scenarios going over my head, and I was thinking, there are people that actually do make efforts towards being in your life and doing good things with you and for you, and they keep doing it. But we tend to focus, for some reason, as humans, on the people that don't. Why are we doing that? We're letting the wrong side of this thing define who we are.
Right. Well, that's force of habit. That's force of habit. A lot of people are conditioned that way. A lot of people got the finger pointed at them. You know what I mean? That was just a natural state of affairs for society. Constantly having the finger pointed at you. And what isn't said is that there's other fingers pointing right back.
Well,
so we get that.
We must be boring y'all to death because they're talking about beef and fast food in the chat room. We got to get out of here anyways. People are getting tired of listening to us yap about deep stuff. But that's what we talk about, man. Tomorrow night on the program, I need to check out who's coming on tomorrow night. I should have put that up, actually, before we leave, just so I can give you guys a teaser here. Pacho's doing a fantastic job, by the way, isn't he? He's the man.
He is the man. And Pacho, if you can, see if you can get a hold of Echo Bodine, because she does a good intuition program, I believe.
Okay, so tomorrow night, Suzanne Worthy that we had to reschedule. She's going to be here tomorrow night. Friday night's open lines. And then next week, we've got Michelle Lucas, Daryl E. Berry Jr., Ian Jaded, and Frank Castle. And then later on in the month, Ramsey Dukes, the guy that is coming back. The magician, the guy that did the Abramelin stuff, he's coming back. Keats Ross, the New Moon Show with Mary. Mark Devlin's coming on here soon. Michael Joseph. Laird Scranton's coming back. It's really cool. Got a lot to look forward to. So if you're quarantined,
when are you gonna have the Tiger King? You're gonna get the Tiger King on?
The Tiger King? The Tiger? Who's that? Who are you talking about? The Tiger King. The Leo King. Oh, yeah. The Tiger King. I was like, what are you talking about, man? Now, that dude, I don't know. Well, we can try.
That would be cool.
He's I don't know. Yeah, we can try. It might not be a bad idea.
Special. Why not?
Anyway,
we can try.
So come join.
We got to get out of here.
Yeah, come join the Fringe FM chat room. Come hang out with us, the fringe.fm/chat room. Sometimes we're watching movies. Sometimes we're just kind of BSing in there. But we're keeping each other company during this thing. And we're going to be doing some kind of fun thing, I think, this weekend. We haven't announced it yet, but we got some ideas to keep y'all entertained as much as possible while you stay socially distanced from everybody and quarantined in your lives. Just stay connected with the people you care about the most. Tell everybody who you love that you do love them, and be nice. All right? I want to thank you, Pacho, for coming on. Please don't, for getting this show together. Please don't copy the show without written permission. I want to thank JM Debord for coming on. And the music was by Steezy Stevie, also Chronox. And I want to thank everybody at the Fringe FM, Barbara, Amanda, Jeremy Scott, Eric Markham, Dennis for all your help, Don. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night.
expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.